It's now 6 p.m. If you'd all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for your attendance tonight. This is the Union Township Board of Trustees regular meeting agenda, July 12th, 2022, 6 p.m. Mr. Campbell, let the record show all three trustees are present. Gentlemen, we're looking for the entertained motion for the approval of minutes. Item 1, June 14th, 2022, the regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Hearing no discussion.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Lou?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 2, June 14th, 2022, zoning meeting minutes. Motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Lou?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item number 3, July 7th, 2022, special meeting minutes, seeking motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Lou?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Mr. Campbell. Do you have any correspondence from the fiscal officer tonight?
No,
From
sir.
yourself as the fiscal officer?
No, sir, I have none tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, gentlemen, at this time, we have proclamations and special presentations. We have our Union Township Years of Service and Recognition Program for July of 2022. And we've got two officers with us this evening. We've got Officer Christopher Godsey, Union Township Police Department, 20 years of service, being celebrated on July 24th, 2022. And Officer Matthew Cooper, Union Township Police Department, 5 years of service on July 11th, 2022. And gentlemen, if Officer Godsey and Officer Cooper, if you'd rise, and we've got a presentation for you here. We'll walk down. Here's Chris. Take this down. Matthew Cooper, you want to take that down? Go down and grab it. Gentlemen, thank you for your service and commitment to Union Township. 5 years or 20 years, right? Well, memory's a little different. Why not?
That's funny. So there you go, you're first. You're ready. Good to go.
Oh, mine.
Yeah, you'll be next.
All right, gentlemen, moving forward, we've got a presentation on the first half 2022 financials from Trustee John Becker.
Okay, so as I've been doing these financial presentations, kind of I've been looking a whole lot on 2021. The reason for that is to have a full year of data for 2021, and also kind of a warm-up to get me accustomed to data and used to it when I start digging into what happened to the screen. It's back.
You're back.
Okay. So now we have 6 months. Technical difficulties. Now we got 6 months of data, January through June for 2022. So I put together a presentation to kind of compare and contrast the first half of 22 to the first half of 21. And a lot of times it's not a fair comparison because there can be so much variation in when expenses and revenue can hit. But I took a stab at it regardless. So the first item. First item I want you to look at, this is a cash position statement. And this is a cash position statement. This is a kind of document that's out on the website. And Mr. Campbell puts that out every month. and it gives you the official totals for the various funds. And the numbers I look at on here, at least for the purposes of this demonstration, is the net revenue, which is in the yellow, and that amount was $26.6 million. And then the net expenses, and that amount was $20.4 million. So I guess at an immediate glance, it looks like we're doing quite well in terms of revenue versus expenses. However, this is not a management report. When you get into the expenses a little bit more, or the revenue side, you get a different picture. Okay, so this first slide, I've only got 4 of these. So this first slide is, so this is the first half of 22 compared to the first half of 21, and this is just the revenue component of it. So what I want to bring to your attention is that, for one thing, we are ahead. The left, I know from the audience it's hard to see all this, but from the left-hand side is the 2022 first half, and the right-hand side is the 2021 first half. So the bottom bar, that bluish bar, those are the real estate taxes we bring in. The orangish bar above that is what I've just combined as TIFs, JEDs, and SIDs. That's our economic development type of income. And part of that, well, I'll get to that in the next slide. But I will say that the property taxes is 42% of our revenue, and 28% is the TIFs and JEDs. The little section above that, that gray area, it's much bigger on the 2022 number. That's the economic development. I used to call that previous reports, called that capital. And that was, so what I was just calling capital, it'd be property acquisitions, sales, infrastructure improvements, that sort of thing, building a firehouse. I put that under capital. So I'm just simply renaming that as economic development, so because it can confuse other uses of the word capital. Let's go to the next slide. So this slide, and again, I know y'all can't read that in the audience, but again, it's the same slide you're just looking at, but rather than a stacked bar, it shows each category side by side. So the green bar is the 2022 first half data, and the gray bar is the 2021 first half data. So that first set, if you will, those are the real estate taxes. Again, this is the revenue side of it. And then the second set is the TIFs, JEDs, and SIDs. The third set, and so there's actually a couple of things I want to point out here. So that third set, economic development. So you see that green bar on the left is for 2022, and we got an enormous amount of economic development income. Well, the reason for that was we sold some properties. There was a Glen Estee site for $2.7 million. There was Ivy Point, we sold to TQL for $1 million. And so almost all of that bar there, $3.7 million, was simply the sales of property. Also, go over a couple of sets there, and you'll see a pass-through section. So you see a gray bar on the on the right-hand side for 2021. That's for pass-throughs. That's a $2 million transfer that's in those numbers that wasn't in the first half of 22. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now I want to get to the expense side of it. So looking at comparing again first half of 22 to the first half of 21, the numbers look very similar in terms of the total. The bottom block there, that's red is for fire, blue is for police, the parks are green, the roads are black, so I'm kind of trying to be consistent with some of the color coding. So we spent a whole lot more money in the category of the fire department, relative to pretty much everything else. And when I looked into that, it was, pretty obvious. We built a new firehouse, we had new equipment, we've had some increases in personnel and promotions, that sort of thing. So it's not only equipment purchases, but also the personnel expenses. And I do want to make a comment about kind of personnel in general. So the workforce here in Union Township is, I'll just say, an aging workforce, for lack of a better description. As people get older, there's higher expenses with healthcare costs. And additionally, as people retire, when they tend to get large payouts of vacation time, sick days, things that they had accumulated. It's all good stuff. But that's the reason we're going to have a continuing increase in personnel expenses. This this last chart then is showing, again, the first half of '22 versus the first half of '21. And that first set there is for the fire department. You can see how much more it was for '22 over the first half of '21 for the reasons I just explained. Police wasn't a whole lot different. School's a little higher. We're paying out more in TIFs to them, so that means we're getting more TIF revenue for us. That's a good thing. And the pass-through is that big gray bar, but the fourth set over. Again, it's a $2 million transfer. And the economic development is that next one, and I'm going to stop there. So that gray bar being larger for '21 rather than '22 was the acquisition of some properties. That was, I'm going to go from memory, it was, Ron, Mr. Campbell, can you help me out? What did we purchase last year in the first half?
Particularly for the fire
So
department?
the important thing to do, to look at and learn from this is, if you go back to your third slide. So Union Township is focused heavily on economic development. What we do here is we purchase property, we amass the property, and then we look for business partners that we can bring to the community, that we can sell the property back to. Normally, we have a tax increment financing district set up, and then we also do a joint economic development. All this is with the precept that we're keeping the tax bases lower for the residents. So what we've done over the years, as long as I've been here, is all about economic development. And I think that's what your graphs are going to show you there. Yeah, we're a little inflated this year because we sold property, but that's a good story. That's why we bought the property, is to sell it. And then when we do that, we use the JEDs and the TIFs to pay for salaries for our emergency services people. And if you look at the total overall picture, the majority of the cost at Union Township is in personnel, which is to be expected. You know, we have a fully accredited, all of our services are accredited. But it's very expensive to run firehouses, to run police departments, and the way that we do that is with our economic development. That's the backstop to everything that we do here. A lot of good forethought went into that, and I think that's what we need to continue to do going forward. Later on, I'm going to present the statutory budget. It's totally different from an operating budget, but we'll talk a little bit about that. But I think what Mr. Becker's trying to tell you is that we're in good shape here. We're tracking very similar to what our expenses were last year, with the exception of the firehouse. And we brought Station 53 online. You had some, acquisition costs in there to get the building up and running. We promoted 6 lieutenants, which is a nice thing to do. And then we went from a hire of 7. 3 of those were actually new hires. So we had 4 people that left. We replaced those and then added 3.
Thank you for that explanation.
I hope that helps.
It's very helpful. I did find the number I was looking for. Hamilton Safe, we spent $757,000 down there on infrastructure. We had 2 property purchases that came out to $600,000. And there was some improvements down at our McMahon properties, which is another like $270,000. So those were those kind of unusual expenses, if you will, that had occurred during the first part. So that's why you get so much variance, in different time periods and trying to look at these numbers side by side. And with that, gentlemen, it concludes my report. Any questions for me? Or Mr. Campbell, for that matter? Institutional knowledge.
No, so Hamilton Safe is a perfect example, not to belittle what we're doing here, but that's a perfect example, right? We partnered with Hamilton Safe. We brought the infrastructure improvements down there, the sewer lines, upgraded the railroad system, easements there, and the power grid down there. And then now, they've built a really nice facility, brought new jobs to Union Township, and at the same time, the rest of that properties down there would be eligible to redevelop because the sewer lines are now in place. So that's what economic development does, and that's the whole premise behind doing the TIF deals that we do. I know, from spectators, it's kind of overwhelming, but when you get involved, you start to understand the concepts here. Those are the tools that we have that I think we do a really good job with.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Thank you, Trustee Becker. I've got no further comments or questions.
I'm not too concerned about the increase of spending with the fire, and I honestly think we got to get used to it.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to find police officers and firefighters right now, and we got to take care of them. And I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, I don't like spending money. I like trying to save our taxpayers as much money as possible. But if I have to say what would I spend money on, it would be our police and fire. You know, it's funny, we were talking about a lateral program, getting other police and firefighters to come over here and have what's called a lateral program, and I'm all about it. And it's not going to get any easier. Who wakes up today and wants to be a police officer? I remember 15, 20 years ago, I absolutely wanted to be. And but nowadays, that's not the case. And so if we want the best, I got a feeling it's not going to get any cheaper. So I'm okay with those two blocks being slightly bigger. That doesn't mean we can't watch our expenses in other categories. As far as, I think both of you would agree, is police and fire, I have no problem with that, so.
Public safety, absolutely.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate the special presentation. With that, we'll continue to move forward. We've got personnel actions for this evening. Great segue into that because we're talking about fire and police. So Chief Donnelly, if you please introduce your personnel actions for this evening. Oh, hold on. I moved beyond
Yeah, thanks.
that. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Is there anyone here,
You got
is there
excited.
anyone here for public comments at this time? Yes, sir, please.
Come on up.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Tony Giuffre, Funnel Hill Development, 3000G Hankel Drive, Lebanon, Ohio, 45036. And just briefly say a couple things about the resolution 2022-30, which is about the last thing on the agenda. First and foremost, just want to thank the trustees for their consideration on this matter, and this is the repeal for the resolution on dog control. We've had the privilege of developing high-end pet resorts around the country and have run in many different restrictions based on what kennels used to be. You drop your dog off, it's in a strip mall, there's one person watching it, it's unattended, but that's not the world of pet resorts in 2022. In addition to that, our client is part of the National Veterinary Association, which is one of the largest conglomerate of vet clinics in the country. If there ever was an issue, they have relationships with vets all over the country, and on top of that, every pet owner must provide a vet and an emergency contract, so it kind of covers what the resolution's already trying to cover. And while this resolution likely made really good sense when it was passed, we believe times have changed. Pet ownership and care has changed dramatically, especially at these resorts. And the current code prevents development growth where there is a very high demand. It also prevents residents in Union Township from having the high-end boarding facility that other communities across the country do have. And we just think it could be a huge benefit on both ends. So again, really appreciate your time and consideration on the adoption of this new resolution.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, gentlemen, we'll see that later tonight, that resolution, and be able to have it introduced and have a little more information on that. But I think it's one of those great opportunities where you can look at where business or where government is telling business how to run their business or is over-regulating, and this is a place where we can cleanly cut that red tape and be able to offer greater amenities and services to the community and let government get out of the way, let government do its job, back to what you said, police and fire, and the main principles there, and let business do what business knows how to do best. So, anyone else at this time, public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Brenda Vega. I reside at 54 Apple Lane, Union Township. I've lived in this township for 10 years now. I'm officially known as the Swan Lady. So I say good evening. First, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to continue being Swan caretaker for the township. Just a year ago, almost to the day, actually this coming Friday, we were accepting Salute to Leaders Award, putting Union Township in a prestigious place, a better community in which to live. That being said, a few issues have come to mind that I believe need to be addressed. Number one, after 6 long years, I finally brought the adult mated swans at Mount Moriah to fruition. They laid 5 eggs, all hatched, and all were healthy. But alas, day by day, they began disappearing. Now, to say that they were taken by turtles or other predatory wildlife is actually very absurd. Do the math. You've got 100 baby wild ducks and geese running about, yet our 5 babies are the only ones missing. I think not. In fact, I know not. I received a text from a wildlife rehabber, Stephanie Carlson, whom advised me she took the last babies to her facility in Batavia because they were injured. First of all, our swans are domesticated and wildlife laws do not apply to them. It's like me coming to your private property and taking your dog or cat because, in my opinion, they don't look healthy, okay? I call that explanation futile, as I believe they're actually selling them. Mr. Taylor and the police department, Union Township, have that information of that individual and that rehab facility. Number 2, the catch and release permit at Veterans Park needs to be revoked. There's absolutely no sense to it. The swans get hooked or caught up in cut fishing lines snagged on felled trees off the bottom of the ponds. It's their main food source. There again, the cost to the township for veterinary costs or to replace a dead swan is great, unnecessary, and totally preventable. Union Township has many other suitable ponds for fishing activities. As a matter of fact, the one male that's there right now has an injured leg, which you can't stand or walk on. Number 3, the brand-new fence at Mount Moriah has a huge new hole cut by persons trespassing and doing ungodly things there. Thus again, the costs go up for the maintenance in the township as well as the cost for the plots that are purchased there. And last but not least, this past Sunday, speaking of TQL, I caught a man driving his car, a full-size sedan, around the walking path around the pond at TQL. I ran him down to get his license number and make and model of his car, and this totally tattooed fool with his pit bull riding shotgun just yelled verbal assaults to me and did the shooting gun gesture towards me as he sped away, and then went westbound onto Clough. I called it in, and whatever happened with that, I don't know. Now, I'm not usually one to complain, but this is out of control. Why am I the only person seeing these things? I will not abandon my swans. You know, they depend on me, and I depend on them. You know, they are the only solace that I find in this chaotic, crazy world. And I want to thank you all for that. As a matter of fact, the history of the swans, they're actually from the Queen's Royal Flock in England. All the mute swans descended from Florida are actually part of the royal flock and are graced on the water and are blue-blooded. And they are a blessing to have, a blessing to observe. And in England, what happens when you try to hurt or pain one of the animals there, swans, is considered treasonous by law, which is a very serious offense. So, but thank you all for listening, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vega.
You're welcome.
At this time, is there any further public comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to continue to move our agenda forward. We've got personnel actions now to Chief Dimeling on the Fire Department personnel actions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. This evening, I would like to introduce and recommend Mr. Christopher B. Schnell for consideration for the position of full-time firefighter paramedic. He comes to Union Township with approximately 3 years of experience in the fire and EMS field, currently holding certifications in the state of Ohio as a firefighter and a paramedic. He has successfully completed all the aspects of the hiring process, including oral and written testing, interviews, background, driving checks, and polygraph examinations. And if I'm not mistaken, he's also a third-generation firefighter within his family, and I know his dad is here. Oh, he moved. I know his dad is here. But he's a third-generation firefighter. So tonight, I would like to recommend a conditional offer of employment to Mr. Snell as a full-time firefighter paramedic at a rate of pay consistent with Step 1 of the collective bargaining agreement, effective August 8th, 2022, pending a successful completion of a physical examination.
Gentlemen, so we're seeking that motion to hire Christopher N. Schnell for the position of firefighter paramedic step 1. Do we have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, do you have any discussion?
Mr. Snell, look forward to working with you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Which part of town do you live in?
I'm sorry?
I said, which part of town do you live in?
Right over in Milford and Clermont County.
Oh, okay, great. Well, appreciate you not going to Milford or Miami Township and coming here, so
Thank you.
we appreciate that.
Appreciate the opportunity.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Campbell, roll call?
Yeah, Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations. Look forward to working with you.
And stick around, we'll do a picture up front with all the new hires. At this time, our police department has personnel actions to hire Jake P. Long and hire Jeremy P. Conley. Chief Caviglia?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lowe, Mr. Dills, Mr. Becker, it's my pleasure to introduce Jake Long to you. Mr. Long's a Glen Estee High School graduate and a current township resident. Mr. Long has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and has worked for the last several years as a UC Health police officer. Mr. Long's been a police officer since 2019, and I'm recommending he to be hired for the position of police officer step 2 in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement with an effective date of August 9th, 2022, pending the successful completion of a physical examination.
Thank you, Chief Caviglia. Gentlemen, we've got seeking a motion for hiring Jake P. Long. Do we have that motion for police officer step 2?
So moved.
Second.
Just discussion, gentlemen?
I do have
No,
a question.
I think I know where you're gonna go.
What's that?
You're gonna ask him how tall he is?
I was going to say basketball or volleyball, yeah.
I knew where you're going.
I wanted to
Are
keep
you-
winning
hold on,
the
hold on.
police basketball game.
When
Ow!
when is that basketball game? Is that in the winter?
Coming up, sir. don't
Coming
worry.
up in the fall. They're
Is that why you're
recruiting you,
so
Jake. Oh, thank you, congratulations, and we're excited to have you on the team here, on the force, and you're gonna find this a wonderful place to be, all three of you in here tonight, so. Closed discussion, roll call, Mr. Campbell?
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations,
Thank you,
Jake.
congratulations, Jake.
Congratulations, sir. Looking forward to working with you.
Chief, we'll continue on with your second personnel action this evening.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen. It's my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Conley for your consideration for hire as a police officer. Mr. Conley has an associate's degree in criminal justice, and he's worked as a police officer since 2016. He's coming to us from the Chillicothe, Ohio Police Department, and if hired for the position, we would suggest that he be hired at step 2 in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement with the effective date of August 9th, 2022, pending the successful completion of a psychological and a physical examination. All our officers go through the polygraph. Thank you, Jen.
Gentlemen, seeking a motion to hire Jeremy P. Conley for the position of police officer step 2. We have that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, gentlemen?
Did any of you have to take a polygraph? So Chillicothe, that's a heck of a drive. Do you live close by now?
I live in Highland County right now.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, welcome to the team. We're excited to have you. It's
Appreciate it.
always good, so, thank you. We'll close discussion and roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Jerry. Congratulations, Jerry. Absolutely.
Oh, we got another mustache guy. That's good.
Congratulations. Looking forward to working with you.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
Get the pictures.
You guys want to come up and get a picture? I should take my camera down. My next problem is my pants are all too long, so I keep holding over.
Thank you all for coming out and supporting their new hires. All right, gentlemen, we'll continue on with the department reports. We've got Chief Stan Dialing for the fire department. I don't know why, I think I said that to you twice now tonight, Chief Fire. All right.
Dialing department.
I might be reading too many books to my young kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. For the month of June, the department made 234 fire and service calls, 505 emergency medical responses. We saw a total of 509 patients and transported 335 to local hospitals. Completed 752 hours of training, participated in 17 public education details. We had 60 hours of EMT, paramedic, and doctor ride-along time with the paramedics. Completed 33 fire safety inspections and participated in 6 joint inspections with the Clermont County Building Department. And that concludes my report.
Gentlemen, any comments?
No, thank you, Chief, very much, appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. We'll move along. We've got Chief Scott Caviglia for the police department.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. This report for June 2022. Communications Center handled approximately 5,300 calls total for service. Approximately 480 juvenile adult court-related documents have been processed by the records section, delivered to the respective courts for processing. On the public affairs crime prevention side of things, officers conducted a women's self-defense class in June. Crime prevention trailer and Citizen Police Academy alumni graduates were at the St. Veronica's Festival. Sergeant Williams conducted a building security review and assessment of the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Carmel. In the patrol division, we took 318 incident reports, investigated 106 crashes, initiated 401 traffic stops, issued 138 citations and 297 warnings. We conducted 525 field interviews, made 123 criminal arrests, 83 traffic arrests, and we served 120 warrants. K-9 team for the month recovered 35.5 grams of marijuana, 10 grams of heroin, 65 grams of methamphetamine, 2 grams of cocaine, and 15 narcotic pills. To date, INV's closed 167 cases. The training for the month was 136 hours. Spent approximately $17,000 for fuel this month. And also want to take a moment here. The police department's annual police night out is Thursday, August 4th, and it's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. This is one of the longest running night out events in Clermont County. It's free. We'll have shuttle parking here at the Civic Center. There's also parking at Veterans Park. Free food, free games, free drinks. It's a good time to come out and meet the police officers. We have equipment from all the jurisdictions in the area. It's a good time, and it's a chance to meet in more of kind of a neutral social setting. This event continues to grow each year. This event doesn't cost the township much or hardly any money at all. All the food and time is donated. This is a great event, so if you're free that night, please consider coming out. That concludes my report, gentlemen.
Excellent.
Thank you, Chief. Gentlemen, any comments?
Good question. Chief, what about the Citizens Police Academy, is that already started, or
No, sir.
still taking people?
We're still taking people, and we're aiming for a September start date,
September?
sir. Yeah. I'll have a better update for you next month, sir. Yeah.
So, anybody interested in doing that can find that information online?
Yes, sir, they can find that online, or feel free to call the police department. Mr. Becker's a graduate of the first class when I first started here a while ago. If you do have some time and like to spend some time to see what we do, this is a great 8-week program. You can find more information online or stop me after the meeting. Thank you for that, Mr. Becker.
Thank you, Chief. Get with me later. I've got a local business I spoke with that's interested in a threat assessment at some point, or at least keeping them informed.
Yeah, my pleasure, sir.
As Susan's aware of that as well, but it's just something that came up in conversation. And again, Thursday, August 4th, Thursday at 6 p.m.?
6 p.m. to 9 p.m., sir.
6 p.m. to 9, that's right. Lease night out. Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate it. All right, moving right along, gentlemen, down to Service Department, Mr. Matthew Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. In the Cemetery Division, from June 1st through the 30th, 25 burials were performed, generating $13,450. 9 resident graves were purchased, generating $4,950. And 5 non-resident graves were purchased, generating $7,500. 1 columbarium niche was purchased, generating $1,750. 2 cremation scattering gardens were purchased, generating $1,000. The total amount generated for the period was $34,252.40. In the Roads Division, the 2022 paving program is complete, and a total of 26 work orders were completed on 17 township roads. And in the Parks Division, staff provided setup and cleanup for the concerts at the Civic Center on June 4th, 11th, and 18th. And 50 shelter requests were filed and filled for the month of June. And also, just as a quick update to the board on the Parks and Recreation Committee, we've kind of finalized, Ms. Ayers and Mr. Hartness and I met yesterday. We kind of finalized the list. We're going to send a kind of an invite out to select a time for everyone to meet for the first meeting. So that should go out this week as well. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Gentlemen, any comments?
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, the lady who spoke earlier, Ms. Vega, about the swans.
Yes.
I'd like to hear Mr. Taylor's thoughts on all that. Do you want to do that now or some later point in the meeting?
Yeah, hey, thank you. Let me add 2 things on that. As I say, we can probably circle back with any thoughts from Mr. Taylor, but it also stands out. There's a couple things. One, Mount Moriah, the fence, it's the cut, you're tracking that, the whole,
Yeah.
okay. And then as far as issues with the swan and fishing in the ponds and lakes, et cetera, I know Susan's looking through policies and procedures and a review of that. So I think I would kind of, part of the administrator's report, look at where we're at from a more strategic level of policies, procedures, and where we need community engagement, feedback, and to make updates. And that's appropriate what we're getting from Ms. Vega as well. So is there anything further that you want to speak to that, or Ms. Ayers?
I was going to indicate, I took some notes with Ms. Vega, and if it's okay with you, I'd be happy to be in touch. I think part of the issue about issues like the catch and release and the idea that is maybe a good thing for the Parks and Recreation Committee to weigh in on and be able to provide the trustees some place for public input. So if Mr. Taylor has anything you'd like to add now, but it seems to me the next best step also would be, we'll follow up with Ms. Vega and the Parks and Recreation Committee and then provide you some updates at the next meeting and as we go forward. But if you have anything you want to add on those issues.
No, ma'am. I would agree.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Trustee Dills.
Yeah, Mr. Taylor, well done, and I got to test a couple roads I drove down that we had paved. I mean, I think we got a 2 or 3 day turnaround on it. I was very impressive. Potholes do an excellent job. Every time I've thrown you a resident coming to me with a pothole, you guys get on it so quick and fast. It's done either the next day. That one lady with the fence area behind her backyard, I mean, you were out there same day. And so, appreciate you very much, very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'm excited for the Parks and Recs Committee as well. The parks are your parks. They're not ours, they're the community's. And so that's the main thing, is to get input from the community to see what we want to do moving forward. But appreciate your department very much. It's hot out. It's hot out, and I know it's not always fun to be working out 90, 95-degree weather, but you guys are doing it and doing it with a smile on your face. Appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
That's all I got, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, gentlemen, we'll continue to move forward with planning and zoning. Mr. Craig Cloudy.
Yes, thank you, sir. First, we'll start out with the June 2022 inspection activity. There were 48 inspections, 13 complaints filed, 4 unfound complaints, 7 warning citations, 3 15-day noncompliance letters issued, 1 30-day violation letter issued, 12 resolved with and without action, 389 illegal signs removed, 11 miscellaneous issues resolved, 9 violations monthly total, 24 reinspection of violations, and last month we had the 9 nuisances filed. The permit activity for June, there was 3 commercial permits issued, 3 change of uses, 8 signs, 5 single-family homes, 5 additions, 6 decks, 6 accessory buildings, and 25 pools and fences for a monthly total of 63 permits issued for a total of $14,575 for the total month revenue. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Cloudy. Again, high number of illegal signs removed, and highest monthly revenue this year to date. So, yeah, 1,943 signs. Again, like we said, we keep on setting a record basically, right? So, okay. And Ms. Ayers, I don't know if we have any authority of being able to, with those signs that get removed, of being able to send a letter or any type of fee or fine. It's something to research, but just a research project.
Let me take a look at it.
Because I don't know, again, how much of these are repetitive signs, so.
Right.
The only comment I have, gentlemen, any comments, questions? All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Flotty.
Thank you.
We'll continue to move on to administration report. Ms. Susan Ayers, our Township Administrator.
Thank you, sir. Just have a few things I wanted to mention this evening. First, open checkbook continues to show open up to date through May of 2022. I know there was some concern also brought to my attention about making sure the cash statements were posted on the website. Those should be now up to date through June, so that problem should be taken care of. The farmers market continues at the Civic Center every Friday from 4 to 7. It has been fun watching the results and getting a lot of people here, so just comment on how wonderful it's been going. Hope everyone can join us. Tonight we have some information on the 2022 refinancing. Andy Brossart's here from Bradley Payne Advisors. We'll be here to discuss the process so far and the selection of the underwriter. So we'll be moving through that process, and I anticipate everything's working in accordance with the schedule. Along the finance routes, I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Campbell and his office. We did receive back our annual audits that were finished by Bastion and Company for the township and the CIC and accepted by the state. We got great audits this year, and that's no small task, and Mr. Campbell and his crew worked really hard to get that done. So we appreciate that on the behalf of the township and making sure that our finances are exactly where they need to be and we're reporting exactly what we need. So it was a great work on his part. Development and clearing has commenced on the first phase, the development at the old Glen Estee campus. I fielded some questions this month and had some contact with some residents that were concerned about the tree clearing at the site. Obviously, there were some very mature trees there. And as we got through some of the site needing to be cleared for the storm sewer and the sewer easements that need to go in there, discussed with some residents their concern about the trees going out. The construction company's been working with us about a replanting schedule. One thing I wanted to bring to this board's attention, just to throw it out there, is the potential for the township considering some beautification money, so that for projects like this, perhaps we can help give some funds for additional replanting and reforestation in areas where we're doing development to help beautify the township and to help address some of these new development concerns, just to bring that to your attention as a possibility. Also want to note, at the last meeting, I was asked to look into Board of Elections moving some of the precincts to the Township Civic Center because it didn't seem that Crossroads was going to be an appropriate location any longer or an available location any longer. I did meet right after our last meeting with the folks from the Clermont County Board of Elections who were wonderful. We walked through the Civic Center gym. They believe that's going to be an appropriate location to move those precincts, so I'm going to finish working that process, but I anticipate they will be moving those precincts here to the township gym. Thanks to Mr. Taylor and his crew, they're going to be working to get some of the electrical issues resolved and the needs for the actual day, but I think all looks good to move it there and be able to service that here. I continue to have conversations and work on updating a lot of the policies and procedures. It is slowly moving along, but just to point out again, if anyone has any concerns they'd like to bring to our attention as we go through this process, just to let me know. We continue to try and work through some of the meeting rules, some of the meeting schedules, as well as the daily operating procedures for the township to make sure that we are up to date and getting the framework out there for how we want to handle business. So those conversations continue. I hope we'll be able to bring to you a better report next month, but we continue that at this point. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Gentlemen, you have any comments, questions?
Ms. Ayers, I had no idea until I think the next day or the day after that you came walking through my neighborhood, talking to my neighbors at the very end of the street that called us. It's a dead-end neighborhood. And I had no idea you're out there to discuss the Glen Estee site, because my neighborhood butts up to that. And you didn't have to do that. I appreciate you just going out. You literally door knocked and tried to get their feedback of thoughts, opinions, what we can do. And also, I believe the engineer, the contractor was out there as well, correct? I had no idea that you even did that, so I appreciate that very much. Personally, I would not benefit from it, but the folks that live in my neighborhood would love the beautification funds. However, because it is my neighborhood, I'm all for it, but I'm going to absolutely abstain from that vote if we decide to move forward with that, just for, obvious reasons.
And
But,
we'll continue to monitor it as we
yeah,
go
fair enough,
through,
fair
but
enough. So-
as a potential source.
Yeah, fair enough. But I had no idea you did that. I appreciate you very much, Ms.
No
Ayers.
problem.
Thank you. Yeah. That's all I got, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Beck?
I got two comments.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
First of all, I want to talk about the open checkbook. The open checkbook is up to date on the township's end. So what happens is we export that to the state, and then the state has to post it. So it shows here that it's been updated through May. That's because they haven't uploaded the latest, but our end is up to date. Second, on the audits, we do have, both the township and the CIC audits were clean again this year. And that's a big credit to Mrs. White and Ms. Cobb. So, you've heard me talk about it before. I think the township gets a big bang for their buck for what we got. I've got 2 employees. We do about $70 million worth of business a year. So that's outstanding service to the residents and a great value. I'd just like to thank them. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Yeah, big thank you to Ms. White and Ms. Cobb. Ms. Ayers, yeah, thank you. So yeah, the farmer's market, big thanks to Brenda on that again. It continues to grow and it's very exciting and it's been great. And thank you for working forward with Crossroads and the Board of Elections to offer that site. And then meeting rules and procedures, and you may comment on that for as far as policies and updates. Continue to research, look into that. I'm a proponent of where we can have what's applicable for working sessions and what's applicable for retreats. I think of transitioning in as a new trustee and/or when these gentlemen were transitioning in as new trustees and trying to establish something from the ground up. It's going to be great to be forward-looking, be proactive with getting some support and some structure into place. So it's a continuity of government and the ability to get that good feedback with the community. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, please.
I do have a question kind of on my mind. It's not really a township question, but it has to do with the voting location. And it's just for kind of a curiosity, and I think this debate's happened in the past, and I'm not sure there's actually an answer to it, or a clear answer. But maybe you know something. So with the location that's going to be downstairs in the gym, the voting location, I'm going from memory, there's a restricted area, it's either 100 feet or 200 feet, I don't remember which, where the people who stand outside that's handing, cards out, hey, vote for so-and-so, they have to stand outside that barrier. So is it, let's just say it's 100 feet for discussion purposes. Is that 100 feet from that outside door, or is that 100 feet from the door downstairs to enter the gymnasium where the people are voting?
It is actually from the front door, is my understanding, because I asked
Front
that
door.
question too,
Okay.
and they indicated that they would literally take a tape measure, measure the appropriate distance, and then there are signs that get placed there that say this is the effectively no-go zone.
That, yeah, and that's, I just saw, I witnessed that happen firsthand back on, was it May 3rd? I guess someone made a phone call, a resident or someone called in, because they said someone was out in front of Crossroads Church with a bat. And then, so then the election people came out and then took measuring tape, and it was a downpour just stopped maybe. But they took measuring tape from the front door and went out 100 feet in a big semicircle. So kind of pushed everything out. So
You got a baseball bat?
it's
Intimidating voters?
inflated, and it's what it looked like. So it's what it looked like to the person sitting inside. You got to be aware of what things look like, right? I believe it was an inflatable bat because, I mean,
Because
that's.
of course not, why
I'm
not?
not going to get into political
But
things. I'm just saying that was I believe the sheriff's office or it funneled to the Union Township Police. I'm not sure, but there was a phone call made and there was a couple things that transpired to where then they came out, they measured it with a 100-foot tape.
I asked that same question though, and they did indicate it was from the front door, so there'd be a part in the parking lot where people would be able to conduct that activity, but not close to the front door.
Fair enough.
So, and then, you know, again, I don't know, Ms. Ayers, you look into this, you look at rules and procedures and policies, obviously opening the doors. I think it's great to have the Civic Center be a spot to be utilized for voting. That's our civic duty. It's a civic center. So I think that's phenomenal. Obviously, we don't want, I don't know what type of authority or control we have if there's whatever, some type of issue like a baseball bat or whatever issue was at Crossroads where people have issues. So obviously, as a township, we're going to take on those type of questions and costs. So a big heads up and thank you ahead of time to the staff that, you know, police, fire, you guys probably have to work through any of those type of phone calls and things that come through. So hopefully not, hopefully be relatively mellow, but there we go. So that concludes comments we have. So thank you, Ms. Ayers. This time we'll continue to move us forward, gentlemen. I've got us at 6:51. We'll be entering our public hearings. Mr. Campbell, if you would like to introduce the tax budget, please.
Sure, so this is the statutory budget that I do every year. And basically, the requirement here is primarily to justify the tax levies that we have imposed in the township and certify that to the county. And it, like I said before, it's not to be confused with the operating budget. There are 180 out. The interesting thing, and you know, we talk about it, I said it earlier, the biggest cost that we have in the township is with our personnel. So when you look at the documents for police and fire, we're always tight, which we all understand that. And then through the use of the TIFs and JEDs, we supplement those salaries and benefits, paying through that with our economic development. That's pretty much all I got. It mirrors very, very, very close to what we did last year.
All right.
Got a question?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Campbell, are you anticipating this year, next year, a new fire police levy at all? Are you anticipating one?
I'm not.
That's great news.
I'm not.
Okay, fantastic.
So far for this year, just, I mean, you know, everything's up. I mean, fuel prices, gas prices, you know, we use a lot of fuel here, especially in a fire department with the diesel fuel and the big apparatuses. We're tracking about 400,000 higher this year with the fire. We talked a little bit why that looks like that. You know, we have a new fire station, 53 is online. You know, we had the promotion, so salaries are affected. Operating costs are obviously affected. So, yeah. At this time, I'd say no levy.
Great, okay.
If I may add, Trustee Dills, and, you know, we continue to make sure that our police and fire have the resources that they need. And I'd say, we've heard Mr. Campbell speak in the past about financial cliff, and, you know, and that speaks to the fact of 2032, 2033, there's about 8 years, there's a residential TIF that falls off that shuts, that's gonna cut about an $8 million revenue stream. That is not something that's renewable, refundable. So in the short term, you know, things are in a great perspective as where things be balanced, but now is the time to be strategic and professionalize the plan and execution to turn kind of the headlights on so there's not a financial cliff, and so you can actually navigate for that and have a firm plan in place. That's part of the reason why I've asked, you know, as far as when we look at what's the communication tools that go external to the community, and that's describing a couple things we've heard already here tonight about the economic development for bringing revenue in, but then also the expenditure side and what the plan is there. Because you all would benefit and rather benefit from being able to see it on, on the website or on documentation that is easily digestible with maybe some charts that you can actually be able to read and help to simplify a complex message. So, all right, so with that,
Mr. Chairman?
yes,
If I
please.
could chime in for a moment. When I'm doing financial reports, and I'm new here, I'm still trying to figure out, TIFs and JUDs and SIDs and pass-throughs and such, and I rely on Mr. Campbell quite a bit. And, he gets me straightened out, and sometimes I answer the same question 3 or 4 times. I forgot what the answer was, so then I start writing it down. And Mr. Campbell's got the institutional knowledge, and him and his staff have been doing a fabulous job here, and working with me and helping me to understand the finances, kind of bringing me along to get better, better at trying to figure out how to categorize these things and such.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. And so always a great eye and great perspective. If you were thinking that you're asking the question, someone else is the same. Ms. Ayers, just to open tax budget to the public now? Mm-hmm. Okay. So is there anyone that's here to speak as a proponent for the tax budget? Not seeing any. Is there anyone here to speak as an opponent? Okay, not seeing any. Close the public comment period for tax budget. Open to the board for discussion. Any further discussion, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Then we're seeking a motion to approve the 2023 tax budget for Union Township.
So moved.
You will have that under new business, under item
Oh.
D, so if we want to hold off on that one. for a
Okay,
moment.
sorry, so no
Oh.
motion right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right, and Mr. Flaherty, would you like to introduce Union Township? We'll move along. Union Township case number 605 Zulu, the major amendment.
Yes, sir. The first case tonight is going to be case number 6-25-Z, located off of Round Bottom Road. It is the proposed Ohio mulch development. The applicant has submitted an application requesting approval of a major amendment to an approved PD plan development, seeking modification for a production and wholesale retail for Ohio mulch. The proposed facility would include 2 buildings totaling 14,000 square feet and be used as a multimodal facility to produce and deliver various finished mulch products by loading onto trucks or to the proposed railway spur. The subject property is located east off of Round Bottom Road near the underpass of Interstate 275. The Cincinnati Eastern Railroad runs the front property line, and the East Fork Little Miami River is directly adjacent to the rear property line. This property is located within the Little Miami corridor as defined within the Horizon 2030 Union Township Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Some land use and zoning characteristics. Presently, the subject property is zoned PD plan development, with the site being bordered by PD plan development to the north and south. Located west is ER Estate Residential, and to the east, the property line is bordered by the Little Miami River in Miami Township. Land use in the area is mixed with lower intensity residential located along Round Bottom Road, vacant land located to the north, and heavy commercial to the north within Miami Township. Much of the land in the immediate vicinity to the east is zoned M1 industrial, with clusters of large site industrial uses present along the River Valley Road Industrial Park. Some staff review and analysis. Upon review of the proposed Ohio mulch facility, the use appears consistent with both the PD district regulations and the adopted land use plan. The use provides for a reactivation of the underutilized freight rail corridor, resulting in enhanced activity for this area of the township. While many uses remain agricultural in the immediate vicinity, the underlying zoning of the area does not preclude future development consistent with either PD or M1 use regulations. The uses are set back significantly from the roadway and are further buffered by the railway corridor itself. The proposed facility intends to construct 2 buildings totaling the 14,000 square feet. A general site plan is included with this application highlighting the areas for the intended use. Within this application, a customer parking plan should be created to assure easy and clear access into the site. Grinding areas along with truck dump, yard waste, and finished product area are provided. A height limitation of the mulch piles shall be observed to ensure safety and visual impacts of the neighboring sites. Access to the site is consolidated with the nearby property, reducing a curb cut along Round Bottom Road. The plan calls for pavement in both the access drive and customer parking area, ultimately cutting down the potential dust coming from the site. The existing vegetation along the front roadway area provides screening from Round Bottom Road and adjacent neighbors. Retaining the existing vegetation would be the desired method within the site, resulting in less of a physical impact to the surrounding area. The application shows a proposed rail extension into the site, which would decrease the amount of road traffic coming and going from the site while using an alternate mode of transportation already at their disposal. Minimum disruption will occur to the balance of the site due to the sensitive nature of the floodway and the prohibitions on building therein. The action required tonight is in accordance with Section 680 through 687 of the zoning resolution that the Board of Trustees is to enter into a motion to approve with some modification, or deny the applicant's request to approve a major amendment to an approved PD plan development district. There are some included recommended modification. One, that the applicant shall provide a customer parking plan ensuring safe and easy accessibility to all patrons using the facility. Two, the applicant shall be required to provide a maximum height of mulch storage piles, subject to administrative review and approval. Three, monument signage shall be required, signage for the site capped at a height of 10 feet measured from grade. And lastly, number four, maintain the existing vegetation along the front property where possible. Any removal of vegetation shall be replaced by evergreen tree plantings, subject to administrative review and approval. And that concludes the report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Floney. Mr. Nathan Marks?
Yes, sir.
All right, can you please, can I get your name and address for the record, and I'll swear you in?
Yes, Nathaniel Marks, go by Nate, address is 1600 Universal Road, Columbus, Ohio, 43207.
You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
As proponent testimony, you can go ahead and.
Yeah, so we've been in operations as a business of Ohio Mulch based out of Columbus, Ohio for 37, almost 38 years. We're currently up in Westchester at our production facility, about a 88,000 square foot building up there. It's just too much building for us, so we've been looking for real estate here in Cincinnati for quite some time, and I think we found the perfect location there off of Round Bottom Road. The contiguous parcel owner to the south, which is CCET, owns that short line railroad, who we're already in agreement with. We're at, final contract with them to be able to ship our rail cars up from Georgia, which is the majority of our product. So it's going to be very helpful for us.
Okay. So are you relocating from Westchester, you're saying? From
Well,
the 88,000 square foot?
Yes, we'll be
buildings?
moving and then selling that after we were able to build out there, yeah.
Okay. You've been at that location how long?
Probably almost 10 years.
Okay, okay. And then also originally in Columbus, you said?
Originally in Columbus and have 4 other locations throughout Cincinnati.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Gentlemen, any comments, questions?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I drove by the land. You can't even see it from
Yeah.
Round Bottom Road. Maybe you can in the winter. You can't this time of year. Just want to say welcome to Union Township. I think it's great. I don't have any objections.
Thank you. Yeah, and to that point, we had ODOT out there looking at another, drive-in lane, which there's a bend right past there, and there is a lot of, traffic through that corridor there. So being able to share that entrance that has already been developed by CCET, and they have a tenant in there, Hanson, which is an aggregates dealer, is tremendous for both of us.
Okay, great, thank you. Nothing further. You have questions?
Yeah, just, so across the street on Round Bottom, Mr. Flatty, what's across the street? Is it residential?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ER, estate residential, so,
Okay.
single family.
So,
Yes.
I believe I heard that Ohio Mulch will, but are you going to keep that tree frontage there on Round Bottom Road?
We have no plans whatsoever of touching any frontage whatsoever.
Okay, and is that in the zoning plans as well?
Mhm. Yep, one of the recommended modifications would be to maintain that existing vegetation along the front there.
I'm just thinking of the residents' concern.
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough.
Absolutely. We will certainly be good neighbors.
Fair enough. I don't think I have anything else. It's a good spot for it. Up and down Round Bottom, there's already a lot of mulch companies, so that I'm familiar with. And No, no problem at all. That's all I got, sir.
So your frontage there goes up to, right up to the train company and the tracks. Would you be open, and, you're gonna be here a long time in Union Township, as we go through any strategic plans and we're looking along the river, we're looking along the tracks there, if we're ever soliciting community feedback for hike, bike, connectivity, trails, would you be open to kind of having a seat at the table and being a partner with the township on looking at what's feasible and possible on the perimeter and edges, if we ever come to you and we're saying, hey, we're looking for hike, bike abilities to get through and get people through and have our state residential, or, what maybe a couple lots down from you, you've got On Goals, the soccer facility, tons of families are always out there, they've already got a little trail that goes around, but it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of property.
Yeah, so we actually have already been out to On Goal, or I personally have, and met with the ownership staff there. They're all in favor of us, because we were actually looking at the parcel contiguous to them at first.
Yeah.
Just with the floodway and everything, how it worked out, it didn't work for us. But yeah, towards the Little Miami there and down the back of our parcel that we won't be using the majority of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very scenic.
Yeah. And you'd welcome the idea to be able to be part of a seat at the table for if we ever, with our Parks and Recs board and everything we're doing.
Absolutely.
We think creatively how we can partner with our
Yes.
residents. Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you. Happy to hear that. All right, at that time,
One last thing. You could have chose anywhere. I appreciate you choosing Union Township.
Yeah,
So
it's-
let the folks involved.
I can already tell from sitting through one meeting, it's a
Yeah.
great place to be.
We very much appreciate it. So you could have chosen anywhere, really, and you're choosing here. So thank you, sir, very much. Absolutely.
I'll see if there's anyone else that has proponent testimony. Is there anyone else here this evening has proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Open it to the board. Any further final discussions, gentlemen? If not, we're being asked to approve, in accordance with section 680, 687, the zoning resolution, a motion to approve with the modifications listed, modifications recommended, items 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mr. Flaherty, the applicant, is completely aware of items 1, 2, 3, and 4. And, okay, all right. If there's nothing further,
I'm good.
Motion.
make the motion.
So moved?
Second?
No further discussion. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Luke?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Congratulations, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
I will continue moving forward, gentlemen. Got 7:07 on the clock here, 10 minutes there. Union Township, case number 10-85-Zulu, major amendment. Mr. Flaherty, if you would, introduce that as well.
Yes, thank you, sir. This is a second case for tonight, number case 10-85-Z. It is a request for a Big B Coffee proposed within the Meyer Outlet parking area. The applicant has submitted an application requesting a major amendment to an approved PD plan development in order to develop the outlot totaling approximately 0.3 acres. The proposed amendment to the existing Meyer PD is located at the corner of Glen, Estee, Withamsville, and Eastgate North Drive. The southwestern property line is made up of Weiler Park Drive and the Meyer gas station and Chase Bank being directly across the street. Some land use and zoning characteristics. Presently, the subject property is zoned PD plan development with a host of retail and outlot restaurants uses approved and developed on the property. The surrounding area is decently commercial in character with some mixed multifamily residential uses located east across Glen Estee Withamsville Road, and the remaining uses consisting of both neighborhood and larger regional retail uses along this heavily traveled corridor within the Eastgate area. The proposed development is situated at the corner of Eastgate North Drive and Glen Estee Withamsville Road with access to a signalized intersection at Glen Estee Withamsville. Some staff review and analysis. The proposed development consists of a 349 square foot building, freestanding with a canopy located towards the center of the site. The proposed elevations show a facade mainly comprised of stucco style type of finish. An upgrade to the facade shall be considered with either stone masonry or block material to reflect the level of investment of the surrounding businesses. Access control has been provided via an access point located off of Weiler Park Drive Adequate landscaping has been proposed for the site, with the majority of the development being surrounded by a low edge of various vegetation. This will help shield headlights from vehicle traffic and also greatly improve the overall aesthetic of the development that has road frontage on all sides. Parking has been included to reflect the size of the building, with the majority of sales coming through the drive-through. Trip count shall be created before permitting to ensure that traffic generating from the drive-through line will not back up onto Weiler Park Drive. Signage for the site shall be limited to monument-style signage capped at a height of not more than 8 feet as measured from grade, and that would be an additional sign to the Meyer sign that is already there. So the action required tonight is in accordance with 680 through 687 of the zoning resolution for the Board of Trustees to enter a motion to approve with some modification, or deny the applicant's request to approve a major amendment to the PD and the accompanying plan as submitted, and with any further modifications as deemed necessary by the board. There are 3 recommended modifications. 1, the applicant shall revise the elevations to incorporate masonry, stone, or block material, upgrade the overall facade of the structure, subject to administrative review and approval. 2, the applicant shall provide an hourly trip count for the drive-through to ensure the drive-through traffic will not back up onto Weiler Park Drive. And 3, signage for the subject property shall be limited to a monument-style signage capped at a height of not more than 8 feet as measured from grade. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Flaherty. Yes, please. We'll open public comment for proponent testimony. Can I get your name and address, and it's required by law to swear you in, so.
Sure.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, name and address.
I'm Michelle Duncan Wilson, and I live at 2944 Saddleback Drive in Cincinnati, Ohio, 45244.
All right, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, name and address.
My name is
please.
Alex Russell, 602 Lila Avenue, Milford, Ohio.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I have been in the coffee industry for over 10 years, and I'm just really excited about hopefully opening our first location out here, and really excited to just be a part of the community.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much, Michelle. I believe, remember meeting you at a chamber event.
Yeah.
Right, and you had shared that you'd been in the coffee industry for several years, and franchise opportunities weren't there, and this presents a wonderful opportunity. So exciting to see you here tonight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, gentlemen, if you have any comments or questions for Michelle, if you have anything to add.
This isn't, yeah, likewise, Michelle, I remember meeting you and had a good conversation with you, so
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to come here. I think you'll do very well. And so, question though is has, Mr. Flaherty, has ODOT been contacted at all? And here's why I asked. So Glen, Estee, Withamsville, we have that construction, we're gonna have that overpass come through. How far
Right.
is this from 32?
Right, and within the submittal, they have included the existing and then the proposed right-of-way takes through there, and there was not much impact with that.
I would just hate for you to
proposed
do all this and then, oh gosh, ODOT comes in.
Yeah, I
Right.
appreciate that, and I
Okay,
was
okay.
able to catch wind of that, and I did have a meeting with ODOT, and we were able to make sure everything
We're in the clear?
fits. Mhm.
Fantastic. It's perfect for a coffee spot. It's a small piece of land. I can't imagine putting anything else really there. No, we already talked, I think, and you're good with all the zoning recommendations. Any issues at all?
I don't have any issues. I would like to at least show the options between the proposed upgrade of the brick veneer, because it says stucco in the report, but I do think it looks like a stone, and you might be surprised if you
Yeah.
prefer what we have.
Mhm, right,
So-
and with that being subject to administrative review and
Okay.
approval, there would be nothing that would, cause the hiccup from that
So
side.
you'll be able to work forward with the staff on that.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that won't be an
Be
issue.
happy to.
I don't think I have anything. It's all good.
I do.
Mr. Becker.
So it's a franchise.
That's correct.
Do you own other Big B franchises?
This would be my first Big B franchise, but I work closely with our area representative who owns several and oversees the whole city. And like I said, I managed almost every other competing, I don't want to say the Green Apron coffee shop in town.
Great. So your first franchise is here in Union Township. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm
So
really
is
excited.
Great to have that other option.
Can you, is this, so I've never been to a Big V. Is there like a dining room? Can you walk in? Is there a table and chairs? You can sit down? or
Some
what?
locations do have a cafe. This one is set to be drive-through only.
Only,
But
okay.
we will have a patio, and in the summer with the parking, it'll be, we'll be having, sports teams out and fun things.
Sounds good.
Will you have a walk-up window at all? or
We'll have
no?
a walk-up window as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the model. I think it's quick, efficient, and great coffee and food, and, yeah, that's what you need. So,
Personal business question, just curious, because right down the road on the same drive, you've got two competitors.
Yeah.
Dunkin' and Starbucks.
Right.
I'm sure you've done your research, I'm sure you've done the research. Thoughts? I mean, you feel comfortable?
Put them
I-
out of
I-
business?
Well, I don't want anybody going out of business, I'm just saying, I mean, so there's gonna be 3 coffee shops, 3
Oh, I think it's great.
dominant,
It shows
big-name
that
coffee
there's a
shops.
need, and I think it's good for the community to have different options as well. And I really want to niche ourselves as the local community coffee shop where they know who I am. I'm out visiting and seeing other businesses, so.
Yeah,
Great.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well said. Okay, good. That's all I got, yeah.
absolutely. Well, and definitely make up the sales when Starbucks, I think they've been having issues with labor forces unionizing, and, you go through and they're not open at 9 a.m. So
That's right, yeah.
you'll definitely
We'll be open.
be taking care of cleaning up then, so. But no, I think you'll do phenomenal here in the township, so
Thank you.
we're happy to have you. At that time, if there's no further public comment, proponent or opponent testimony, close the public comment period. Gentlemen, open to the board. Any further follow comments? If not, we're being asked to, we've got recommended modifications, items 1, 2, and 3. And we're being asked to approve with those modifications. So the applicant revise the elevations, incorporate the masonry, stone or block material upgrade, overall facade of the structure, subject to administrative review and approval. Item 2, applicant shall provide hourly trip count for the drive-through to ensure that the drive-through traffic will not back up on the Wiley Park Drive. That's important. We've always looked at that. We looked at that with the Duncan project that went in. And item 3, signage for the subject property shall be limited to monument-style signage capped at a height of not more than 8 feet as measured from the finished grade. So,
I'll make a
Great
motion, one
location.
second, one last question. Everything's done, you'll be good. When do you plan on breaking ground? Ballpark, just ballpark.
Yeah, well, hopefully in September, late September.
Oh, soon, 2 months.
Yeah, October, yeah.
Excellent, okay, great. On that motion, so moved?
Second.
to approve with the modifications, items 1, 2, and 3.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. I'm so sorry. My apologies.
I'm just making sure the motion's captured correctly.
He's so excited, he just wants to get the big me for a coffee.
Yeah, that's right.
Need some caffeine?
That's right.
So moved.
All right.
Still second, yeah.
No further discussion. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
you.
Congratulations.
Big one.
All right, gentlemen, I've got 7:18 on the clock here, and we've got Union Township case number 4-22- Oscar, Focus Area Overlay District application. Mr. Flouty, if you would introduce.
Yes, thank you, sir. This is the last case that I have for tonight. It's going to be case number 4-22-0. It is for the proposed marketplace development located at 4595 Eastgate Boulevard. The applicant has submitted an application requesting overlay district plan approval from the Union Township Board of Trustees. The applicant is seeking to develop a 123 plus or minus square foot marketplace store with 542 off-street parking spaces, fuel center, drive-through pharmacy, and online shopping pickup locations on 13.25 acres. The applicant is proposing a focus overlay commercial corridor overlay district classification within the central retail 32 corridor. The location of the proposed overlay district request is located within the mall loop, with the existing Sears location to be demolished for the construction of the Kroger Marketplace. Some background information: the applicant proposes a Kroger Marketplace in the vicinity where there's a vacant Sears building, which is slated to be torn down and replaced with the proposed development. The project will be located on a significant and prominent location in reference to both the Eastgate Mall and visibility from State Route 32 and 275. The applicant's proposal shows the new development will be a freestanding store not attached to the mall like the previous Sears building. Elevations have been included in the proposal showing a construction of a variety of materials. A parking and landscaping plan has been included within the submittal with the new structure facing south towards State Route 32. The sign package has been included representing the wall signage, freestanding signs, and other advertising such as Starbucks and the pharmacy drive-through signs. Some staff review and analysis. The proposed development is located in a prominent area of the Township Central Retail Corridor and is plainly visible to a number of main thoroughfares and therefore impacts a significant portion of the corridor through its development. The commercial corridor is identified as an area where it is necessary to encourage private investment and to prevent the spread of conditions adverse to the corridor. The Horizon 2030 Union Township Comprehensive Land Use Plan identifies that the commercial corridor is an area where architecture standards should be developed to promote a cohesive and attractive design. Additionally, the plan calls for monuments-style signage, landscaping, and/or streetscaping with maximum parking limits and thresholds. A review of the proposal indicates that the proposed requests are consistent with the corridor recommendations of the adopted land use plan, as well as the overlay district regulations. The structure consists of a mixture of smooth and split-face CMU, smooth and corrugated metal panels, fiber cement panels, masonry, and pre-finished panels. This combination uses traditional building materials with a modern style to produce the final outcome. Masonry pillars should be considered for the gas canopy construction, as the fuel center sits at the main entrance into the proposed development in the mall. Signage has been included with the proposal, consisting of multiple wall signs and 2 additional freestanding signs. While labeled on the plan, sign M is an 18-foot, 5-inch monument sign that includes digital gas prices, while the second freestanding sign is labeled P at the proposed height of 100 foot from grade. The Horizon 30 plan calls for the use of monument-style signage through the corridor. The proposal of the 100-foot pylon sign should be limited to a height of not more than 30 feet from grade, with an updated elevation appearance. With the uniqueness of this build and the position of multiple main thoroughfares, it is understood why a larger sign would be desired. However, it would go directly against the vision of the 2030 plan, with the highly impacting the thoroughfare along State Route 32. The landscaping plan has been furnished for the development of the property as indicated in the plan. Additional landscaping should be considered around the fuel center where it is labeled lawn. A low evergreen hedge would be preferred, help shielding headlights and buffer between the fuel center and the roadway. Landscaping islands placed strategically through the center of the front parking lot would benefit this development by helping deter cut-through traffic and adding shade and vegetation for customers. The loading dock and service areas for the development is to be located in the rear of the building, closest to the Eastgate Mall. Dock screening is provided by masonry walls, which will match the rear of the building. Consideration to the rear of the structure is particularly important as a redevelopment of this mall is ongoing. A landscaping hedge shall be provided to the rear of the building to buffer between the new development and the existing Eastgate Mall. Additionally, providing elevations of the facade where Sears is to be demolished off of the existing mall structure will eliminate future concern and ensure cohesion within the development. The action required tonight is in accordance with Section 1310 of the zoning resolution that the Board of Trustees is to enter into a motion to approve, modify, or deny the focus area application consisting of a new development of a Kroger Marketplace as submitted and with any further modifications as deemed appropriate by the board. There are 4 recommended modifications should the board choose to grant favorable consideration to the overlay district application. 1, upgrade the fuel center by constructing the pillars for the gas station out of masonry or block material. The corresponding dumpster location near the fuel center shall have 3 sides constructed of similar masonry or block material. Revised signage shall be required for the site with the sign labeled P to be limited to a maximum height of 30 feet. Additionally, the sign shall have an upgraded appearance. 3, an upgraded landscaping plan shall be filed to include the following: low evergreen hedge placed along the fuel center where it is labeled lawn, landscaping islands placed strategically through the center of the front parking to deter cut-through traffic and add shade and vegetation for customers, and a landscaping hedge to be provided at the rear of the building to buffer between the new development and existing Eastgate Mall. And lastly, number 4, applicant shall provide elevations of the facade where Sears is to be demolished and the existing mall structure is to remain, subject to administrative review and approval. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Flowdy. At this time, I'll open the public comment and swear any testimony in for comment.
Hello. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address
Yep.
for the record, please.
For the record, my name is Ann McBride. My address is 5721 Dragon Way, Suite 300, Cincinnati 45227. I am with McBride Dale Clarion, and I'm representing Kroger in the request that's before the board this evening. I've been doing that work for them for about 30 years, so hopefully I'll get it right here tonight. Kroger bought that 13.25 acres that's before the board this evening in July of 2021. As your staff was indicating, it is Zone B1, your commercial business zone, and it's also included within your Central Retail Corridor Overlay District. Built in 1979 is the vacant Sears store, which right now contains 168,696 square feet. So it's actually bigger than the Kroger store that's being considered here this evening. That store would actually be 123,722 square feet. It would be a Kroger marketplace with 542 parking spaces. As staff was indicating, it would also include on the east side of the building pharmacy drive-through, 2 lanes for the drive-through, as well as a bypass lane. It would also include 15 online store pickup spaces, and then a 9-pump location fuel center would also be to the east of the store. Your staff already went through the building materials, which I won't go through again, but this is Kroger's newest design. It's what they're rolling out. They're going back and modifying some of their existing older stores, but all their new stores are going to have this new updated facade. In terms of signage, they have gone away from, at one point in time, you all may remember, they had a number of signs on their front facade. They've gone away from that and just have basically a small Starbucks circle and some pickup information as to what end of the building that's on, as well as the pharmacy drive-through, and then one large Kroger Marketplace logo. And then there's additional signage, limited signage on both the east and the west elevations of the building. We are proposing 2 additional signs. The one, as staff indicated, would be adjacent to 32, and it would contain 192 square feet. It was proposed at 100 feet in height, and staff is recommending 30 feet in height, and we concur with that, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Also, a ground-mounted sign, which would be in the eastern portion of the site. That would contain the fuel pricers. You know, that's very important, particularly right now. Everybody shops their fuel based on price, obviously. That sign would be a little bit over 18 feet and contain 184 square feet. That would also have Kroger on there, as well as any tenants such as people like Starbucks and so forth would be on that sign. That would be on an aluminum base and a landscape bed, so it would match some of the finishes on the store. The lighting would be state-of-the-art. We did submit a photometric lighting plan, and it will be done with the LED fixtures, which are not only obviously more energy efficient, but they also allow us to contain the light on the site more effectively than some of the older fashioned light fixtures that existed. We did submit a landscaping plan. The township does not have any landscape requirements in your zoning code. So the Kroger landscape architect came up with what she felt was appropriate. Right now, just rough count, I think there's like 8 or 9 trees on that whole site. But again, that was a long time ago, so moving forward. So what we've done is tried to create a perimeter of plantings around the Kroger area to kind of better define that and try to help in any kind of cut-through traffic. And I think once the store gets going, that would be significantly reduced as opposed to just driving through an empty parking lot as it is today. Included in that landscaping then is a mixture of different species of trees, shrubs, some knockout roses, those kinds of things to kind of give that some color. So in conclusion, both the grocery store is permitted in your B1 district per section 661-5A. The fuel center is also permitted as a principal use within that B1 district per section 661-4A. Both of those uses then are permitted within your focus overlay commercial corridor district per section 1310-1A. In response to some of the criteria that I know the board needs to consider on the focus area overlay commercial corridor, that's a lot of words, guys, we need to condense that to some initials or something. But anyway, section 13071, we will be demolishing the Sears store, which prevents deterioration of property and an extension of potential blight in that area. It also represents, obviously, a significant investment in the area. It's about a $25 million investment from Kroger into Union Township, and also prevents the creation of influences that could be conceived as negative to that portion of the township. Per section 1307.2, it does contain, the site is contained in a concentrated area of retail and service-oriented uses, commercial establishments, et cetera, which serves as a principal business activity center, obviously, for Union Township and really the additional region beyond the township. It is consistent with your 2020 Union Township Comprehensive Plan. It is also consistent with the township goal in that plan that says to encourage economic development that reinforces and enhances the township role as a regional employment and commerce center within the greater Cincinnati metropolitan area by facilitating land uses supportive and conducive to job growth and economic opportunity. Couldn't have written it better myself. So staff has reviewed and recommended approval of the proposal that's before the board with conditions. We accept all of those conditions and look forward to continuing to work with your staff on items such as landscaping and so forth. I just want to make sure that the board and everyone understands this is really the first step in our process here this evening. Kroger will still need to go and get consents from all of the other property owners in the Eastgate Mall because that's the way this works. So this is really kind of the first step in our process. So we are requesting approval of the Focus Overlay District application. There are a number of members of the Kroger team here this evening to answer any questions that I might not be able to answer.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Gentlemen, you have any initial questions here?
Go ahead.
I can share a little bit of a comment to start here. So just, thank you, Ann. The previous administration met with Kroger last spring, and then I was really brought into the fold formally with hearing of the marketplace this spring. And since then, we've had just great discussions talking about ranging from infrastructure to the site planning, the amenities that could be there, and also looking at what's that long-term plan for the mall property. And it's, you took the feedback that I was able to share for wrapping behind the back and the loading docks. And so that's always looking as nice as it can be, because as we described, it could be someone's front door one day as far as what that may be. So with that, it's been great. Kroger's is really the first one to that location to represent new investment and to not allow it to deteriorate and be more blight. So with that, and now with the mall finally taking steps with the sheriff's sale, that's something that's really relatively new. They just did a minimum posting. We made you aware. But Ann, are you able to commit for Kroger that they'd be able to continue their relationship with the township? And if we are launching into an objective to establish a master plan, would Kroger be able to lend their expertise and put someone as a seat at the table to be involved with master planning? Because I think we got to make that our top priority with the recent receivership that has failed. And just believe it's time for the township to finally get involved significantly there with the future of the mall and make it a top priority.
Yeah, I don't want to speak, there are Kroger folks here, but my understanding is that they are very willing to have a seat at that table and to share their retail knowledge. They do have different facets of their organization and would share that expertise. They might even invite me to come sometime. So yes, and they look forward to that. I mean, they've been a longtime partner with Union Township with different stores and so forth, and they look forward to continuing that relationship with Union Township.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Mr. Becker, you had a comment?
Yeah, a couple things. So, assuming we approve this tonight, then you have to go back to the current property owners of the mall, and I think any one of them have veto power, is that correct?
That is not my area of expertise. There are people here who could answer that, but that is my understanding, yes.
Okay, I find that a little scary, but it is what it is. So assuming we approve it, assuming you don't get vetoed by one of the current owners, and you're ready to move forward, what do you anticipate for timelines? You're going to tear down the Sears, when do you think, and then, when's the new Kroger open for business?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say because there are so many people involved, so I don't want to state a specific date. I will tell you, it typically takes a little bit over a year to build a marketplace store. It might be a little quicker than that because this is a pre-developed site. But it's hard to tell. We couldn't go to them until we came to you, and how long it takes to go through that number of people. I don't want to give you a date and then you call me and say, hey, lady, you told me 2 weeks ago and nothing's happening. So
So, if I may add, so the way I tracked it too is at least 15 others with the restrictive covenants. So like she said, the process has to start somewhere. So, let business do what business knows best and let the government get out of the way. As far as if we're able to have something that allows them to get started, is the first step in a long process in a complex project like that, which requires master planning. But you're basically working with the other owners, and I believe there's up to 15 that have the restrictive covenants. So, they could put a sketch or a model or a drawing out there, and one person could stop that, and then they may come back to us and then be saying, hey, this is what to be able to get the deal done, this is what we need to continue to do. So that's kind of the way I shorten it up. Go ahead.
Yes.
I was just going to say, we felt it was more important to come to the township first and get your take and your hopeful blessing on what they were proposing to do, and then take that to the 15 folks, then to work it in reverse, and then have to go back. So trying to expedite that process.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So just, I guess my final comment is that, when the news broke a year ago, about Kroger buying the Sears store, a lot of speculation, what are they going to do? People were very hopeful that it was going to be a marketplace, so whoever predicted that or guessed it, they got it right. By and large, the community is very excited about this project, and, I think most of us think it's going to be a game changer for them all. That may be the beginning of new development to attract, obviously other businesses into that site that we've been, hoping would, turn itself around. So, I don't know, I'm real excited about Kroger coming in, and looking forward to you guys getting up and running.
Yeah, I think that Kroger can be a big catalyst to the redevelopment of the mall. I've been the planner for the city of Springdale for over 25 years. Some of you may know we have Tri-County Mall. Yeah. And the new owners and the new developers of that mall, I know, are actively trying to court a grocery store in there to be part of a mixed-use development. So, and they see that as a key anchor to that. So I think this has the same potential here in Union Township.
Thank you. That's all I got.
I do. Yeah, Ms. McBride, first off, I can tell this is not your first rodeo.
And not in Union Township. I felt really old when I saw the Big B Coffee coming in, because I rezoned that for Jeff Weiler, right? Chevrolet, that was the first, and then I rezoned it for Meyer, and then a bunch of the other stuff is, so, yeah, not my first rodeo.
I can tell. Well, and I hope you take that as a compliment.
Thank you.
If it's okay, would you mind picking one, I don't care who it is, from Kroger to step up as well?
I will just let them pick. How's that?
Yeah, just one's fine.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they can have all, but whichever one.
They're all like, what kind of, I
Do
mean,
you
I've
have
got folks
do you
here
have
from
context?
construction, legal, engineering.
No, I just want to talk to them.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I
That's
just
it.
want to send the right person up. So.
I gotta swear you in. You state your name and address for the record, and I'll swear you.
Oh, Lynn Howitz, 11300 Cornell Park, Blue Ash, Ohio.
Thank you. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And Ms. McBride, I'll have questions for you as well. But I just wanted to say, first off, it's a beautiful design. I love it, I love it, I love it. And I agree with Mr. Becker. The community loves this. Community loves it, I love it. And I believe Mr. Logan, Mr. Becker love it. And so, but I wanted to just, I mean, you're representing Kroger. I don't want to look in the eye and tell you, Eastgate Mall is an emotional deal with this part of town. It's emotional for folks here. The mall has been a part of this community for a long time. It's a big deal. And residents are screaming at us three to get a deal done and make something happen. Obviously, our hands are tied. Dillard's owns Dillard's, JCPenney owns JCPenney, the Grandma's family owns the outskirts. CBL doesn't own anymore, it's the other company, but the guts of the
CMBS.
mall, which is now the bank, as we know it today, officially bought the mall back, and now you own the Sears part. And so I just want you to know, and I would like a commitment from you to really listen to the residents, of what they want with that mall. And just really, I can't hold your feet to the fire, but all I can do is look you in the eye and ask you, please, to listen to the residents, listen to the community, listen to the other owners that I mentioned, and really work with us and be a partner with us and be a partner with the other owners, and most importantly, be a partner with the residents to listen to their voices and just be a player, a team player, when it comes to development of this site. Because this is, in my opinion, the entire east side of 275 is the golden gem of opportunity and land. It's really is. And it's the last one that exists on 275. And so I just wanted to ask you for a commitment to basically, look us in the eye, person to person, and just say absolutely. And if you don't, you don't. That's okay. But I would like a commitment, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can attest, obviously, working with you guys and the residents. We're here to support you guys. If we aren't making you guys happy, we understand you guys aren't going to give us your business. So with the best partnership that we can is put our best foot forward to make sure we're in compliance with what you guys are looking for and desiring in your township, as well as the residents, because we want the longevity here, and we want to make sure that the residents are happy shopping in our store, and we're providing them the best service that we can, so.
Yes, ma'am. And so just, I hope you hear that part where I'm saying loud and clear that it's, we want something nice there. And I know, and I'd ask that you work with Kroger, works with us and the other owners, but we'll be a partner, or absolutely a partner in this. I want you to hear me on that part. We are willing to partner with you and help coming up with a master plan for that entire site, not just the Kroger Sears site. And so I just wanted to say that. Couple questions. What's going to happen to the Kroger across the street, the Eastgate Kroger? And ballpark, assuming everything goes smoothly, I'm not going to, but what's kind of the timeline, what's going to happen with the Kroger across the street?
Again, I don't think that there's a timeline for that, because we don't know what's going to happen tonight.
Sure.
We don't know what's going to happen with these 15 other folks or entities or whatever, including one that just took over this morning. So at any rate, Kroger does not own that store. They lease that store.
Fair enough.
My understanding is, obviously, it would be ultimately re-tenanted, and that I have heard very recently that the landlord to that has already had inquiries, significant inquiries into the Kroger space when they are available to move across the street.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fantastic. So it's a vacant then, potentially. Okay, fantastic. Have you done traffic studies at all on that site?
We have not been asked to do a traffic impact analysis, no.
Okay. Ms. Ayers, what are our thoughts on traffic studies now, and then what it will be potentially, anything at all? What were suggestions?
I think we can certainly ask for that if you would like it. I think the way this site has been particularly laid out, it is set up for this type of traffic and this ongoing traffic with the mall property, so that it's not a new strain on the infrastructure. And I think they've made adequate provisions for the traffic flow, for the parking, and that will all help move along that site. As we get farther into, if the board would like to pursue things like master planning, we would get into more of a traffic study for the entire site to make sure that we are adequately addressing those needs. But with this particular development, I think the site is set up for what needs to happen, and it is the infrastructure is used to that type of traffic.
And if I may add on that, so I had the opportunity to finally sit down with, Ms. McBride and part of the Kroger team back in spring this year, March, and that was part of one of the questions that came up as far as the infrastructure that's there. And, you turn down the street and you're heading towards the gas pumps, you're heading towards the pickup, you're heading towards, what do you envision? It's like, we got to be a little mindful right now, as we're talking specifically about the applications coming forward with Kroger. So if I'm driving down that street, I'm thinking of all Krogers here. We're also kind of talking about what's happened recently with the sheriff's sale coming up and percolating in our minds. So we're thinking about everything else over here. But we talked about that for the infrastructure, the site planning. Kroger goes through a number of different site plannings of where things should look and where the whole complex may change one day. And, and this is where they've settled with, this is what is fundamentally best for the business, fundamentally best for the township. And the impact with traffic, again, as Ms. Ayers was saying, that's what we said, it was designed already for this in the first place. But it's a mall. It was designed for the heavy use, heavy utilization, and heavy traffic. And we have that. And we talked additionally the fact of being open to the fact that I'd really love to see, more connectivity of hike-bike type of trails. And we talked about that going down the drive, that you'd have hike-bike trails as we enter, but that comes out of something like a strong effort being made into a mastered plan and bringing everyone to the table. And so, it's got to start somewhere, and it gets to start here. Tonight we got Kroger's phenomenal company investing in the community here, wanting to bring this phenomenal product. And, they've done their due diligence, and you've got, as a subject matter expert on it, Ms. McBride, you've got how many years?
Over 40. We're just like
Over 40.
I started when I was 2.
You started when you're 2.
That right.
Okay. Okay.
That math
Started-
works.
okay.
If I could just also add 2 other comments that are relative, Mr. Dills, to traffic. One, just to point out that the Sears store actually was a bigger building, and a different classification in the ITE manual, but still a larger store with merchandise pickup and so forth. The second point I make is Kroger is already in that immediate area, so their traffic, quote unquote, is already in that area. It's not necessarily on the mall side, but it is in, it's on Eastgate Boulevard and so forth. So it will be a bigger store. It will generate a little bit more traffic, but the fundamental basics of it are already there.
Fair enough.
And I'll tell you this too, and when we talk about envisioning, again, I had this discussion with the team, and the first time, again, kind of was able to be unfolded and see some information. In my mind, I was thinking, well, there's the Kroger store there too. What if the Kroger store was over here, right, near like 32? And, then that gets, one, they've already cited it out. They know, they've got the answer. Kroger's very sensitive to parking. You get into additional parking issues with that. Then if you think about that, frankly, what does that do for the rest of the mall environment? Well, you completely destroy and deteriorate actually building a downtown type of area that's a township should really take the opportunity to be able to do. So you want to have the density where you have it, not disperse it at that point, and then you have an island of cars in the middle. That's not necessarily what, would be most advantageous. But again, I say you let business do what business knows best, and have the government do what government can do to stay out of the business way. But, I was happy to hear that as far as that they've cited out so many locations, but then also, even if they were to say, hey, this would be the absolute best thing, Kroger wants to do this, Kroger wants to be over on this side of the property, or, hey, maybe Kroger bought it didn't, the bank bought it back today, but, hey, they didn't buy it back and they're not moving it somewhere else, but if they were to move it to the far side of the property, you've got 30 feet diameter storm pipes, right, to move, so you start to get into very large utility costs, So, the township can redirect funds for TIFs, right, for helping and partnering on that, but as we've kind of already discussed, there's going to be a shortfall 8 years or so out. So, again, the township's got to be wise about effectiveness and efficient use of taxpayer funds, and they're not asking for a TIF, it's not needed, and the mall's already set up for that. So, again, we get back to a master plan, and I think we'll probably have a conversation. I'll bring something up on that in a minute, Susan, but I want to keep us more focused just on Kroger right now. So I think at this time, gentlemen, if you have any more questions for the Kroger team that's up here, I'll continue on with the public hearing.
I do.
Yes.
Follow-up question that Vice Chairman Dills asked about the existing location across the street. So, I guess Lee says that's great. What about the gas pumps? So assuming somebody doesn't take that over, just generally at a high level, what happens? Do you pull those out of the ground and re-level the lot, or how do you deal with that?
If they're not going to remain, then they would be leveled per buster requirements and so forth. The tanks would be removed, site would be remediated, and it would be put back to asphalt to parking.
Okay. So that's not really that big of a deal then? It's
No,
just part
no,
of another day at the office?
Not
so to speak.
in today's day. If it was a station that was done 25 years ago, it could be a problem, but, a store
see.
like that, no.
Okay, great. Thank you.
30 years ago.
Just one last thing. Please pass it on to Kroger that we are excited to work with you folks, and wish you nothing but the best. And we're easygoing team players. We'll get it done and help you out any way we can. So, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, is there anyone else to speak on this public hearing? Yes, please. proponent or opponent testimony?
In favor with some modification.
All right. Please swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And please give your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. John McGraw, 4604 Blainfield. And first, I want to thank Kroger for being here, and I think it's a really nice thing, to, $25 million investment in the community. Obviously, it's a great thing for the community. Kroger's been a great partner in Union Township. Stores in Eastgate, Cherry Grove, and Mount Carmel right now. But at the same time, the residents spend millions of dollars with Kroger here in Union Township. So that community's been a good partner of Kroger as well. So I think it's a great partnership. I'm a big fan of Kroger. That's where I shop. I've been shopping there since, see if the Kroger people know, I shopped at the Dillonville Kroger. If anybody knows, has ever heard of the Dillonville Kroger? That's where I first went to Kroger. However, I'm not sure this plan's been completely thought out with regards to the future of the mall. I'm concerned, too, that trustee John Becker has already declared publicly that the board would vote to approve this case tonight. So I think that maybe he just misspoke on the wording of that, but I think usually you don't vote in favor of something until you've heard all the comments and weighed out all the issues.
I'd like to address that, Mr. Chairman.
There hasn't been much public input, up until this public hearing regarding this. So anyway, back to my concerns. This could be the most important case that you guys will ever have, and it's certainly one of the most important cases in the next 40 years of the Eastgate community. I think this is a long-term, setup for success here to see what happens. So there's a lot at stake with this. I do have concerns a little bit with the design because the main drive for the mall comes right into the fuel pumps, the pharmacy pickup, and the grocery pickup area. So I'm concerned about traffic there clustering right around that area where, people are trying to get to the grocery store just to buy groceries. At the same time, people are coming and going with gas, pharmacy, and grocery pickups. So there's going to be a lot of traffic back and forth and crisscross there. So I'm just concerned that the design of that maybe just want to be totally looked at to realize, all the cars that will be coming in from Eastgate Boulevard right there. And for me, I'm not a pharmacy drive-through kind of guy. I'm not a grocery pickup guy, at least not yet. I do buy gas. That's why I buy all my gas from Kroger. So I would be at those gas pumps. But generally, I try to get in and get out of the store, and I'm going to be parking out in that main parking area. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm navigating my car through that kind of maze of, I like the landscape islands. I think adding trees is a great idea because the mall is a very big asphalt parking lot right now. And I think adding some greenery is a nice thing. So I do appreciate that part of it. So I just would like Kroger to think more about that area where they're clustering all the pickup and coming and going in that one corner there, just to be sure that's the best way to do that. Mr. Logue, you mentioned maybe future bike and walking trails, which I think is a great idea. And I would like to hear a commitment from Kroger that someday down the road, if mall plans permit and the other stores get on board, that if there was some kind of walking trail around the mall, that Kroger would also join in on their part of the property to finance their part of the walking trail around the perimeter of the mall to make it a more of a setting, not just to come buy groceries, but more of a community setting where people might go there for other reasons besides just shopping. Because I would envision the mall's going to have restaurants. It's going to have maybe a hotel. There's probably going to be living areas there. There's probably going to be condos. So if I'm living in a condo there, is there a walking trail? Maybe I can walk around the mall property with my dog or something. So I would just like to hear Kroger say, yeah, if the future plans of the mall say there's going to be a nice walking trail around the perimeter of the mall or something along those lines, that we would participate. So I think it's great that you bring that up. As you know, many parts of the township, it's hard to connect on a bike or a walk because of lack of sidewalks, and it's just difficult. So things are slowly coming and getting better, but we definitely want to see, more walkability and more things like that. My final comment is, I'm in favor of the project, but I'd like to see more, this is a Kroger standard, a new standard. I'd like to see more of a wow factor, that this is going to be Eastgate Mall. This could be a premier property in the state of Ohio, in the Midwest. This mall property could be. And I'd like to see Kroger maybe think a little more outside of their own box store, and what could they do to make it even more spectacular? I'm talking about maybe an outdoor area to sit, park-like setting with maybe a small fountain, something nice like that, where people might have coffee or sit down and have, they buy a meal. A lot of Kroger stores sell meals right there at the store. You can walk outside and sit in a nice little small park-like setting and enjoy your meals, some umbrella tables or something like that. So I just bringing those ideas up to make sure that everything's being brought into consideration, and I think it'll be good. A $25 million investment, I mean, a shot in the arm to get the mall is a huge project for the whole township. And Trustee Dills, what you brought up was very true. The residents are very, very emotional about this and very concerned about the future, what's going to happen here. And you guys hear the feedback all the time. I know you do. So I just want to kind of bring up some of those ideas and maybe get a little more thought process into it and see what else can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, is there any further public comment? All right. Yeah, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Nick Gramus, 9150 Cunningham Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45243.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for your time. I'll keep it nice and sweet. We're property owners of the Eastgate Mall as well, surrounding area. We're in favor of Kroger. I think they've done a great job with the site plan, and we're here to represent and with the Gramus family to hopefully work with you guys as well.
Thank you, Nick. Really appreciate that. Means a lot to have you out. Thank you. This time, any further public comment? I'll close the public comment and open the comments to the board members. Just on the recency of my mind right there, I'll just say, yeah, representing the Grandmas, they're one of the investment properties that are surrounding the mall there. Again, stay focused on Kroger's is what we're here to talk about, is the focus overlay. But again, with the sheriff's sale that happened recently, there's a lot of emotions that are charged, as we're seeing, and we're hearing from our residents that are excited about, the future. So that's a good thing. But with that, it's great to hear the proponent of that from Grandma's. And Jim, I'll just share with you one thing I'd had a discussion with Ms. Arias before recently was, for months now, she's been engaging and reaching out. I shouldn't say too many months, I guess, because we're 90 days in, right?
90 days.
So, I mean, she's met with the mall from day one that she was on the job. And this was why that's such a surprise and a shock, because everything was hunky-dory. They had placed over 1,300 light bulbs. I mean, I talked with them. I mean, as far as what they're doing to bring in new tenants, et cetera, and then to have the sheriff's sale, that was just quite a surprise that your last meeting with them was maybe a month and a half ago. So, but likewise, I know she spoke with the Grandmas as well recently to have their buy-in, their support, because we're trying to bring everyone to the table. And that's, again, I don't want to get too distracted between talking about Kroger's. Yes, it's part of an overall larger area, but that's what gets to continue to say a master plan. Now, Mr. Becker, you had a comment, and Mr. Dills, I know you have some comments, and I'll have some closing comments as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the project, really looking forward to it. Mr. McGraw mentioned that I made a public statement saying we would be approving that project tonight. I did get ahead of myself on that, being excited about the project. I should have said we will be considering it tonight. So if that was confusing anybody, my apologies. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dills?
I think when I made it crystal clear to Kroger, asking about making sure that they consider the public and the emotions behind the mall, I took that as, because Mr. Logue did bring it up about the walking trail, I took that as Kroger would be on board, and I'm getting head shakes. And so I'll just reemphasize that. Just that's all I ask is just please hear what the community is screaming loud and clear, and and let's all work together, including the grandmas. I had your pizza last night, coincidentally, I had no idea you were gonna be here. Yeah, so appreciate you very much being in agreements with that, and hopefully, we can get a deal done, so, absolutely.
So again, staff report runs through all the details of what we're being asked for. Just a couple quick things. It's consistent with the land use horizon plan for 2030. I'm saying 2030 is coming soon, so I think in general, as we're updating policies and procedures and we're getting community feedback, it'd be great to be on land use 2035, 2040, where maybe some of these concerns that are being addressed or brought up have already been folded into what the differences may be. So to me, that it's the nature of the fact that Kroger is the first one to basically come in with a big investment, buying Sears last July, I believe it was, beginning the discussions with the township last spring. I got into the fold with it this spring to be made aware of the marketplace. I was excited. I was a little unsure at first hearing that they bought it. I thought maybe it was going to be a distribution center because I'd seen all the business models that are out there. I'm like, what is it going to be? So this is nothing but exciting, and it's at a time and place right now with the receivership failing. So on the other, the overall environment there, that I believe it's the right time for the township to absolutely make a significant, step with pledging support for master planning and take care of some of the non-revenue producing costs on the site. So with the board's consideration, it's not to be an action with inside an action, but just for Ms. Ayers to be researching on, what does that look like? What does that look like to maybe to put the structure together, put out for a request for proposal on master planning and companies that can be able to provide that, because we've got the grandmas here, we've got Kroger's here, we're going to be able to get more. You already hear that you have to have 15 people to agree to what it's like a real estate homeowner association on steroids. So yes, I would love to say, hey, this master plan's had community feedback, and guess what? We've got it, Kroger's and grandmas, and we did it 3, 4, 5 years ago. But we weren't at that stage, and receivership failed, I think surprised a lot of people. Even back in this November of last year, I went to our township administration and said, what's our plan specifically for the mall? And the answer was the township does not have a specific plan for the mall. So, because the timing, was not there. So we have this opportunity, and I think it's a golden opportunity to really make the mall the top priority. Kroger's beating everyone to the punch, but they're also going to carry a lot of water. They've got, their legal team that's gone through the stack of restrictive covenants. Again, they could come and say, we've got the most premier, beautiful park that ever exists that we're going to put in here for $1 billion, and the 14 other people could say no, and it doesn't fit the restrictive covenants. So we got to start somewhere. So, and I think that as we take that process, when we take that step, Ms. Ayers, with looking into a master plan, and bring everyone to the table, that's exactly where you get to address some of the other concerns I heard from residents about park-like settings and amenities. We're able to do that at that point. It's planned out. We know what it is. It's and it all integrates very well. And then you're going to start to open up the tertiary, right? What's our master plan into hike and bike and connectivity to Mount Carmel, and to continue investment in the Mount Carmel area. We're going to learn from our community to get feedback, actual feedback from our community and our residents of what they want. We're going to be able to connect maybe hike bike trails up into, the southern side of the nature center and just stuff like that. So, what's that? Equestrian center. See, we want to hear what you have to say. So anyway, it's emotionally charging to see something like the mall hit the sheriff's sale, but again, to stay focused on Kroger's.
Yeah.
I fully support what they've brought forward, and they've worked diligently with the township, so thank you. Ms. Ayers, I don't know if you have a closing comment there.
I was just going to ask that, we are going to consider Kroger's as this individual application, and then if I could have a few moments during new business, perhaps we could discuss the overarching issue of the mall as a new business item, if you would allow me to have a moment to do that during new business.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ms. Ayers. All right, gentlemen, so at this time, we're being asked for a motion for approval, with recommendations. There's recommendation modifications, items 1, 2, 3, and 4. One, upgrade the fuel center by constructing the pillars for the gas stations out of masonry or block material corresponding dumpster located near the fuel center, having all three sides constructed similar masonry or block material. Two, revise the signage to 30 foot in height. And it's subject to administrative review and approval, so they'll be working with the staff. And then the upgraded landscaping plan and package, landscaping islands to include the low evergreen hedge placed around fuel center where it's labeled lawn, landscaping islands placed strategically throughout the center of the front parking to deter cut-through traffic, and shade and vegetation for customers, and landscaping hedge to provide at the rear of the building buffer between the new development and the existing Eastgate Mall. Because again, we wanted to make that look beautiful, and they did the wrap, and they've got the landscaping package there as well. And the follow will be the elevations for the facade where Sears is to be demolished and the existing mall structure is to remain, and that will be subject to administrative review and approval, because obviously there's going to be that disconnected building that was at one point connected, and it'll be disconnected. So, do we have a motion? Do we have a motion on this at this time?
So moved.
Second.
All right, no further discussion, and that was
I do a final
okay, go ahead.
thought, Mr. Chairman.
Uh-huh.
Something else I was thinking about with the Kroger development is currently there's it's been an ongoing concern or issue with the current Kroger and having to do with litter. Plastic bags people drop, I'm not sure how you prevent that, I just want to bring it to your attention. What happens is that litter is blowing east, winds up down on Old 74 and property owners, between here and there. If that's something Kroger could kind of keep in mind, what direction the wind blows, and maybe with vegetation, some type of debris management to kind of catch litter, so it's not, blowing out onto Eastgate Boulevard and down to Old 74. I'd appreciate that.
I see you had
That's all
some
I got.
nodding. Okay. So that is, the motion on the table is to approve with the with the 4 modifications.
Ready for roll?
Yeah. Items 1, 2, 3, and 4, in accordance with section 1310 of the zoning resolution for the focus area overlay district application. And roll call, Mr. Campbell?
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kroger's. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to thank your staff, and it's really hard.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
They are just the best. Appreciate everyone's comments tonight on the Kroger hearing. Thank you, grandmas. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for your comments. All right, keep us moving with our business. So we've got old business this time. Gentlemen, is there any old business for discussion?
No, sir.
Okay. I just have one comment, and I'm going to keep us moving fast, though. You'd already addressed the meeting rules and procedures. I'd made a note to myself that the last regular scheduled trustee meeting, public comment, we had one person that spoke 23 minutes straight. So, I don't know if it's I just want to put that on top of your mind when you consider meeting rules and minutes. It helps, I think, just keep things efficient and effective. So.
Since last meeting, we've done some audits of other local governments. The intent is hopefully in the next meeting or two to be able to provide you a whole presentation about maybe what's going on around similar communities and maybe some proposed rules for us to consider.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Item A, approval of payments. Gentlemen, do we have a motion to approve payments?
So moved.
Second.
No discussion, roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item B, approval of monthly financial report.
So moved.
Second.
No discussion, roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item C, approval of purchase orders. Ms. Ayers, we introduced the purchase orders.
Yes, Sharon, we have a few for your consideration this evening. First is to the United States Postal Service for retail postage, the amount of $50,000. Second is for Stryker Sales Corporation for $14,000. Next is Fleet Core Technologies for $20,000. Next is Eric Rose for equipment for cruisers for $36,076.54. Then we have 2 matters for Hauk Asphalt Management. First is for Klepper Park Sealing and Striping, $25,000. Second being for the Police Department Sealing and Striping Parking Lot, $17,500.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers. Gentlemen, any discussion?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to actually kind of just get a quick kind of high-level explanation on some of these. So for the first one, $50,000 for the retail postage. So that's just so I understand what it is and public understands. The post office, which is a contract post office, they purchase stamps. That's $50,000 for the purchase. They sell the stamps, hence get the $50,000 back and maybe a little extra. Is that correct?
Yes, this is for supplies and for sale of post office.
Sounds good. What is so for the fire department, what is the Pro Care service agreement for $14,000?
So a lot of our EMS, patient care, patient handling equipment is through Stryker Corporation. That would include cardiac monitors, defibrillators, pacers, Untitled CO2, pulse oximetry, but also our patient handling equipment. Cots, power cots, load systems, stair chairs are all Stryker equipment. This particular is a maintenance agreement for the patient handling equipment. So we have a maintenance agreement on all that Stryker equipment, obviously by the nature of what that equipment is used for. But this particular one is a blanket PO for the annual upkeep, maintenance, inspection, testing of cots, power cots, load systems, and stair chairs. All patient handling equipment in all of the paramedic equipment, all the paramedic vehicles.
Interesting. All right, thank you. For Chief Caviglia, equipment for new cruisers, $36,000. I think you have talked about this in the past, kind of when you buy a car, then it has to get policeized, for lack of a better description. So tell us again, what do you do for $36,000?
Sure.
How many cars does that cover?
Sure, thank you, sir. We'll cover the 5 cars the trustees were kind enough to approve at the last meeting. And what we're able to do with some of the equipment, we're able to move it from one to another. The strobe lights, if you remember the old days, right, with the spinning lights, you could actually hear the chain in them, and those would always break. The strobe lights now, they last a long time, but they're expensive. So we try and flip-flop whatever equipment we can. Whatever we can't, we have to buy. And there's a service. We used to go through Mobile Cop, who, make no mistake, does excellent work. However, their turnaround time is 3 and 4 months. We were put onto this organization by Mr. Taylor, that's who he uses, and Lieutenant Reese was able to negotiate this price, and we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully we can give them some more of our business. This is about the same cost, but I think it was mentioned earlier in the meeting, everything costs more right now.
Now, this strobe light's LED, I would think?
Yes, sir.
In today's
Yeah,
world?
it's simply remarkable for where we were just 10 years ago.
Yeah, I still remember the bubble gum machine.
Absolutely, sir.
Decades gone by, a different century. For the service department, so we have ceiling and striping parking lots for $25,000, and also police ceiling and striping for another $70,000. How often do you have to do that kind of work?
We try to shoot for every 4 to 6 years.
4 to 6 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, winters take a toll on it. If we plow more, obviously that's harder on the asphalt. We have really cold temperatures. Sometimes if you get cracks, water gets in them, you get potholes. So, to answer your question, just a little bit of Klepper Park, last time we sealed and striped it was 2016, and the police department was 2016 also. So,
Sounds like they're
we're about at the extent. And if you've driven through, which I believe the board's probably driven through both of these facilities, they are due. So.
Fair enough. All right, thank you. That's all I have for you, Rob.
So do we have a motion to approve purchase orders?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, gentlemen, item D, approval 2023 tax budget. Let's see, so that, we've already introduced, this is what Mr. Campbell spoke of earlier, so
Simply if there's a motion to approve.
just simple, motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item E, the approval for underwriting firm of 2022 ban refinancing. Ms. Ayers, if you'd like to.
Thank you, sir. We've been having some ongoing discussions about the township debt and how that is refinanced annually. At the last meeting, we discussed effectively starting that renewal process. This is the next part of that, working with the underwriting firm and getting that in place to get the band refinancing together. Andrew Brossard is here, been waiting patiently in the audience. I asked him to come. I would ask Andy to be here this evening to discuss a little bit about where we are in the process. This bid process to get to Stifel as the underwriter. And then if you have any questions on the process for refinancing, I think Mr. Brossart would be able to handle those at this time.
Good evening. Andy Brossart with Bradley Payne Advisors. We've been the municipal advisor to the township for many years. So our job is to help you guide you through the process of the note renewal. We don't have a financial interest in the actual financing side of it, but we help guide you through that process. So right now, the application is before the OMAP program, which is a state treasurer's program that gets you a lower interest rate. They guarantee the notes if there's not a renewal next year. And so that helps out with the interest rate and the borrowing cost. Every year we go through this process with underwriters, and underwriters are the entity that sell the notes out into the public. This would probably be mostly, even at $21.4 million would be one buyer. And so the process we take with that is we go to the top 5 note underwriters in the state of Ohio, ask them to give us a bid on their fee, and then tell us what their spread is going to be in terms of the interest rate. And so both items, the interest rate and the fee, ends up being the low bidder. And this year is Stiefel Nicholas. I believe this might be the first year we've worked with them. They are a very large organization in St. Louis. They're massive across the country in terms of municipal underwriting. Very good firm. And so that's the recommendation for moving forward with them tonight. The note issue will probably price middle of August because the 2021 notes come due, I believe, August 30th of the month. That's a short synopsis of the process. Interest rates are up. We're looking at in the range of 2.5% this year for a one-year note borrowing cost.
Well, thank you, Ms. Ayers, thanks for inviting Andrew out here tonight. It's a pleasure to meet you.
too.
So thank you for the support of the township and what you bring to the table. John, I'm sure John does.
Oh, I do.
He's met with them, he's met in depth, right? Yeah.
I would expect nothing else.
That's funny.
Yeah, you and I, we met, I don't know, it was back in February or March or something.
Yeah.
Sat in the conference room with Mr. Wright and Mr. Campbell. And from my perspective, it was a great meeting. You're, keeping it high level, helping me to understand what this bond was all about. If I'm remembering correctly, it was it's a derivative where it's an interest rate swap with the Royal Bank of Canada. We had or I guess the current interest rate is 3.9%. So is that dropping to 2.5? Is that correct?
Yeah, so you're always paying the 3.49%.
3.49?
Yeah, don't quote me on that. I haven't looked at that in a while, but whatever that rate is, I think it's in that 3.4 range. So you're always paying on that. Now, the one-year note is tied to a match of what the one-year note of the one-year short-term rate is. They call it it used to be the MIG, or I'm sorry, they just changed the name of it. Anyhow, there's a mismatch there that has to be accounted for.
Is that
And so,
true up?
what's that?
The true up?
The true up, that's correct. So that 2.5% rate would be matched up to the SIFMA rate, which is what they used to call it, one-year borrowing rate, and if those match up, it's either a gain or a loss. So the gain would be you don't have to pay anything more. The loss would you have to pay more in interest that year. Now, I think going back the last 5 years, I believe, the townships had the benefit of the mismatch, if you will. So that's what happens below it. It's a very complicated instrument. It fixed this financing for you for a period of about, I think, 25 years into that rate. But the downside of it is that you have to renew the note each year.
Yeah, so also something we talked about was, my concerns and my original understanding that it was a short-term note, but kind of really isn't, but we still have to renew it every year. And with interest rates going up, and at that time, we were talking about that, and you told me to keep my eye on LIBOR.
Yeah.
Well, I've been keeping track of LIBOR rates, so when we first talked about it in the March meeting, so maybe we actually met in February or early March, LIBOR was 1.38, then it went to 2.28 in April, then 2.67, then a 3.01, and I think yesterday's rate was 3.72. And my takeaway from that meeting when you and I discussed it was as long as the LIBOR doesn't go greater than 3.9, and again, it's at 3.72, at that point, I think your words were we might have some decisions to make. So LIBOR being in the ballpark of this 3.9 or 4.9, whatever it is, what problem do we have, or what problem are we going to have, or is this even a problem?
Not a problem. Because that rate is locked in for so long, you could do nothing and continue to pay that 3% rate until maturity on the notes. Or should I say the long-term swap, they're a derivative product. Getting into the weeds of this, when rates were really low, I don't know, when they were 20 basis points for LIBOR, there was this huge breakage fee. So if you called up RBC and said, hey, we're done with this, we want out, well, what was the number one time? It was like, I think, $6 million was the breakage fee, just to get out of the deal. And so, you know, that wasn't good for you, obviously. Now, as interest rates go up and LIBOR goes up above the swap rate, that's when we've seen that breakage fee decrease and decrease over time. And so as we come closer to this renewal, you'll get a statement from RBC that says, hey, this is the value of the breakage fee today. And so we'll have that answer for us as we come closer to repricing this note each year.
Yeah, I don't know that we want to break it, we just good to know what our options are, what our future looks like.
You know, it's, you break it, now what's your option? Do you roll a note again and then you're subject to whatever interest rate market may be in the future? That's a gamble. Do you fix it in the long-term bonds traditionally the way a community would do? You know, then you're looking at whatever the interest rate market is at that time.
So,
But you're not renewing the note every year.
all right, so let's fast forward to a year from now, and we're having this conversation again. They say LIBOR is at, I don't know, 6%, just to throw out a number. How does any of this change at that point, or does it?
Well, you're still paying the 3.5.
And we can pay that till the end of time, or till the bond matures.
That's correct.
Awesome. I like the sound of that.
Well,
Thank you. I feel much better.
I wasn't here when this was done, so we've been helping you out through it all the way through. It's a complicated product. You don't often see it in the township structure. You see it a lot with universities, healthcare, you know, talking mega, large transactions. It's worked out for you, you know, but, you know, there are some risks associated with it. The other risk is the credit risk side of this relative to your swap provider. The RBC's got a really good credit rating. And so that's the other concern that you'd be worried about. And this happened back in 2012 when there was a lot of swaps out there with banks that went under. And then all of a sudden, if you were holding that swap, your derivative package, you had to pay up. And a lot of people didn't know that at the time, which really pushed this product into a very heavily regulated product now, that anytime we even touch that swap, we're required to get a swap advisor involved who's an expert in the field that is looking on your behalf.
Great.
And I've had some ongoing conversations with Mr. Brossart. We continue to evaluate what we think the best way to move forward is, and definitely keep an eye on whether we think this continues to be the best product for the township or whether we want to look at different options.
Yeah.
But that's a constant conversation.
Great, thank you.
Just want to say, being real, they always say you never want to be the smartest person in the room, and clearly I am not the smartest person in the room. And that was like a completely different language, so. Appreciate you
You're
having you
welcome.
on our team, so.
Thanks.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure
absolutely.
working with you guys. Any
Thanks,
questions?
sir.
No, absolutely, thank you.
Okay.
And again, happy to hear you reiterate the OMAP process. We had Treasurer Sprague in town in January for
Oh,
a
did he?
formal visit to Union Township, and Ron Campbell and I sat down and talked with him about that and the OMAP and being able to leverage the credit rating of the balance sheet of Ohio, so.
We talked about it
Great.
3 years ago. It was a great product to move into. Yep.
Yep, so
Thank you.
great, so thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, do we have a motion to approve the underwriting firm for 2022 band refinancing?
So moved?
Second.
No discussion, roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, gentlemen, we got item F, approval of resolutions. Resolution 2022-30 is the resolution to repeal 96-15. Ms. Ayers, would you like to introduce that?
Yes, Your Honor. There was a brief comment during public comment that a business, that is the technical term, is he's the chairman.
Said it's true.
Yeah.
Right, honorable?
There was a business that approached the township about wanting to put in what I believe would be a first-class pet suites type boarding kennel But there is a resolution on the books from 1996. It's Resolution 96-1-5 that indicates that no person shall keep, board, harbor, restrain, or care for more than 5 dogs at any time on any one premises, except for, makes some exceptions for veterinary establishments, persons who breed dogs that are keeping dogs under 1 year of age, people that are keeping dogs that are lawfully engaged in hunting or training for the purposes of hunting, dogs that are used to train or assist the hearing or vision impaired, or dog kennels that were in operation at the time of enactment of the resolution. And the concern that this resolution would prohibit any new businesses from coming in and offering these services. So I took some time to take a look at when you do these types of resolutions, particularly regarding dog and animal care, there is also a coordinating, I would say, or supplementing version of the state code. The Ohio Revised Code handles some issues with the safekeeping of animals, dangerous dogs when bad things happen, also addresses registering of dog kennels, registers the safekeeping and harboring of animals. Had a chance to talk briefly to Chief Caviglia about how we handle these complaints when they come in. We think at one point in 96, the concern was residents that would perhaps hoard animals and keep too many on a property, or if there were kennels that were not acting appropriately in their engaging of business. In looking at the changes in the laws from 96 when this was put into place to what the state code says now, we believe and are comfortable saying that we believe the state code reflects adequate protections to prevent those two things from happening, and that we would ask if this board would consider repealing that resolution and reinforcing our ability to utilize the state code to enforce problems when they come up, which would then allow new businesses to apply and come into the township potentially for new boarding and offer those services to residents.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Ms. Ayers. So that's the introduction. Do we have a motion to approve or a motion on the table for it? I've got a few words to share with it, but.
Yeah, so moved.
A second.
Okay, we'll open discussion there. Yeah, gentlemen, this is, frankly, thank you, Ms. Ayers, for looking at this. This is something that, to me, is a perspective of a resolution that is long past its time, and it's restricting actual businesses from investing and growing in Union Township, and pet suites, and those are all things that have come with I think, with time. There wasn't, I don't recall pet suites when I was much younger, and those type of premier locations for kennels. Actually working in a dog kennel before I was the legal age was one of my first jobs, so I'm very familiar. That's exciting to be able to do that. So anyway, thanks for the review of this, and I'll just share, I don't know if, gentlemen, if you read this resolution, but it actually identifies, they had the right time and, the time and purpose and rationale, I'm sure, when this was passed in 1996, but we have the right time and purpose and rationale to take this forward and pass this and approve the repealing of it. But it actually identifies, Board of Union Township Trustees is granted the authority to enact resolutions which assist the ownership of keeping or harboring dogs or restraint of dogs or dogs of public dogs, so it identifies dogs as public nuisances and dogs as a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. And that's what restrained it to under 5, with a few exceptions, but you don't have kennels on there. So you have the veterinary establishment, a breeder, lawfully hunting, hearing or vision business, but dog kennels actually details dog kennels that are in operation, so they're grandfathered in, it sounds like. But no new dog kennels after that. So it was really, to me, it's kind of a symbolic of a resolution that probably went to cut out dog kennels altogether from being able to invest here in the township. So I think business models have changed, and I know that there's some significant investment that comes in with that. And I mean, so anyway, it's good service for the community. Any comments, John?
No, you've addressed everything. I completely agree. So.
No further discussion. Mr. Campbell, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now we've got Resolution 2022-31, Undivided Local Government Fund Resolution. So, gentlemen, we've discussed, we've talked about local government fund resolution previously. Ms. Ayers, I don't know if there's any large delta that you want to state to this, but we have talked about the local government fund as far as the distribution formula goes. And this is what we're being asked to pass for the Township Association this time.
I don't have anything additional to add unless there are questions.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell?
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, and that, that also adopted the resolution authorizing the alternative method for the undivided local government fund. So, all right, gentlemen, keep us moving forward with comments from the board members at this time.
You wanna go, Jim?
Yeah, just, I guess the only thing I'm kind of on my mind is, one of the reasons these meetings go as long as they do, and from, I guess, years gone by, is we have a lot of discussion up here, and you get to hear us with thought processes that, you wouldn't otherwise hear, and really in a public meeting, unless we're in executive session, the only chance we get to have any substantive conversations on anything related to the township. And, I really like that, and I like getting information out to you all, and me being, a numbers guy and anal and digging into this stuff, and I get excited about finding things that I learn, or think I'm learning anyway, and want to whip up some graphs and say, hey, guys, this is what this looks like. Nobody's ever seen this before. Well, nobody's ever asked the questions before, I don't think. Anyway, I find it interesting. I hope you all find it interesting. I don't anticipate doing those kind of reports anymore going forward. I've just kind of run out of information. The next, I'm not going to do anything, just to show the July numbers. Nothing's going to change that dramatically. So maybe as we get into the fourth quarter, might do some, year-end forecasting kind of stuff, or getting into budgeting versus actuals. So I'm kind of not sure where I'm going to be going with that, but I probably won't be doing any more presentations, at least through the next couple of months. Or if there's any topics you're interested in, let me know, and or let one of us know, and maybe somebody else can do a presentation on some topic of interest to the public.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Trustee Baker. Trustee Dills?
Just a couple of things. I walked through, took my kiddos to both the parks, and they look good, look clean. I didn't see not a single issue with the dogs. Veterans Park, Helicopter Park, I saw probably close to double digits, 10 dogs, all on leashes. My kids love soccer, kicking the ball around a good bit, and I didn't see any messes, I didn't see any issues. So that's good, positive feedback there. Actually, Mr. Taylor, is your folks, your employees having any issues at all?
No, not to report.
Fantastic, okay. So there's that. I'm excited for the Parks Committee coming up soon to get started. And I want to also reiterate what Chief Gaviglia said about Police Night Out. There's two of them. On August 3rd will be the Clermont County Sheriff's one, which is the day before ours, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Batavia Township Park, which is also known as the Hummer Park. I'll be there. It'll be a good night. The sheriffs host that. And then also the very next night will be ours. So if you can only make one, make sure to come to ours. But that's on August 4th, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Veterans Park, Helicopter Park. I love it. It's a great time. Am I right when I say that Lieutenant Reese usually spearheads this whole thing, or no?
We have been, as an organization, we've been so fortunate for Lieutenant Reese's just simple devotion to that project. It has grown exponentially over the years to, I don't know if we'll ever hit 10,000 people, but coming out of COVID, it might be interesting.
Oh, I think, oh yeah. How do you keep track?
We try and count the buses.
Oh, okay, fair enough. For what it's worth, a little bit of feedback, my kiddos love the dog show, the canine dog show you do.
I like watching it too.
It's huge, it's awesome, yeah. So, last thing I have, keep it short, is our Union Township Fire Department, their union, the IAAF Local 3412, is having their golf outing in September, And just for the record, the website is IAFF3412.org. You can sign up there. It's cool. I'll be there. I'm sponsoring a hole, and I believe last year, I'm looking at the website, they raised $8,000. And what they do with that money is they continue assisting local firefighters and their families in the event of an injury or medical illness. I'm terrible at golf, but it'll be a good time. And so just supporting our local firefighters, having a good time and what they do. So that's all I got, sir.
Hey, thank you very much. Let's see, I'll hit the standard here is that we've got the next summer concert series, Kevin McCoy Band, that's Saturday, July 16th at 8 p.m. Gentlemen, I'm going to be unavailable that evening, so I know we all like to try to get there to be able to do an announcement.
That's next
So
Saturday, right?
that's this it's upcoming Saturday, 4 days.
I'm sure me and John will be there.
So, and then we've got the Sycamore Community Band, Saturday, July 23rd at 7 p.m. And Tom and Torpedo, Saturday, July 30th at 8 p.m. I'll interject here. Susan, you've heard me mention it. We've said a month or two back, I know in time, things will continue to progress. I stand there and I've walked to Paradise Pavilion to hear the music some, but I just continue to envision we can drive more economic activity in that area and pull to our concert series that's supported by the taxpayers. But again, kind of in this framework of that overall kind of planning and as we look down the future road. So I just think there's some creative opportunities there in the future. So keep that on the front.
Talk about a beer truck.
So, well, we can't do anything for beer or tobacco, but what we can do to help facilitate the economic activity also too would be a door, a designated outdoor refreshment area, correct? And we've got up to 300 contiguous acres is what we're able with our population size. So that might be a part of a research to kind of take a look at. But again, I know the staff is you're going through updating policies and procedures, and there's a number of. So I'll ask this, gentlemen, I'll say as many exciting ideas that we continue to share and give feedback from the community. I let her set the pace of what's the appropriate, time and strategy and execution. And I know she's tracking it and following it. But yeah, I think that would be perfect. In my mind, I think you have a door right there, you have a door around that mall area, and you have a door area in the Mount Carmel area. Because again, that kind of became blighted after as the law of unintended consequences when the alcohol permits were pulled from that section of Old 74 Mount Carmel.
Let's talk about the concerts.
But yes, you
You got a
get me
food
going.
truck, we have a beer truck, an ice cream truck, and make it exciting times.
Yeah, well, we will, Rome's not built in that one day, so I'll just give the staff and team opportunity and time and make sure that we're always providing them the right resources and the feedback from the community and have the community involved. But I love where you're going, so thank you. Farmers Market, again, we should say keeps on just being very significantly well attended, and that's every Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. out in the parking lot here. Our next trustee meeting is going to be August 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. And at that, just get out there, enjoy that beautiful sunshine, enjoy the parks. And Matt, I hope the team, is the boom mower come in yet or coming soon? Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing what the new vegetation that gets cut and what beauty gets revealed. So there's some baby birds around the Klepper Parks pond there and an electrical box that I probably shouldn't be looking at, but there's some baby birds in there. My sons love to take a look at them. I know you were talking about getting your kids out to the park, so it made me think of that. So at this time, gentlemen, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 8:37 PM.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We greatly appreciate it.
Good meeting.